when they rule the world. I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you. For you. I will stop till I reach the top just to be there with you.
From the spooky land near Salem, Mass. to you listening around the world, this, my ghouls and guys, is Spaced Out Saturdays. I'm your host and Spaced Out Radio's resident witch, Lynn Wallington, coming to you live from my broomstick. So grab a seat, keep your arms and legs on the broom at all times. In case of emergency, as you know, there are no oxygen masks or flotation devices, so just hang on tight. We welcome you to tonight's show on YouTube and Twitch. If you want to take a listen to the archives, they are free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor while you're there and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and my personal handle, Witchy Linny, Witchy with a Y, Linny with an I-E. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and at Witchy Linny. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out, our new website is out at spacedoutradio.com, where we have a ton of features for you guys, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on the SOR Newswire, and new merch. So go check it out. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. And if you're in the mood for some paranormal stories combined with utter ridiculousness, you can also find me and my friend Caitlin on YouTube at Paranormal Spirits. We've put that link in the description down below if you want to go check it out. You have some time to waste. And if you enjoy Emily's drinking game on that YouTube channel and want to play here tonight, please feel free to do so. For those of you who aren't familiar, the game is simple. Anytime I screw up a word or phrase, take a drink. It's Saturday night, and here on Spaced Out Saturday, that means it's cocktail time. And for tonight's Witch's Brew, I'm enjoying one of my favorites, a gin and tonic. So grab yourself a drink, sit back, and let's have a fun night together. So tonight, I am very excited because we are welcoming Andrew Nock. Andrew is a creative producer, writer, and director with a proven record of creating over 150 hours of television programming in a variety of genres, from crime to comedy and clip shows to live specials. Originally from the UK, he also has a great sense of humor. His latest venture into the field of ufology, we know that field, is producing the new 6-part television series Unidentified with Demi Lovato, so we will have a lot to talk about. And just a couple reminders before we start. If you have a question, please type it in all caps so that I can see it easier. And the Super Chat is open. Super Chat is a great way to support SOR on a nightly basis, and we really do appreciate it. For those of you who are new to our channel, this is a live show, so we'll be taking a 5-minute break after the first hour. And welcome if you're new. We're happy to have you here. And welcome if you're returning. Hey, Ben from UFO Garage, I see you. And let's get Andrew on here so we can welcome him to the show. Hi, Andrew. Welcome.
Hi, Lynn. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. So you are a television producer, and I didn't read it off, but you have quite the resume of, let's just say, maybe paranormal shows, kind of
right.
Everything from UFOs to paranormal investigating and kind of everything in between, it seems. How does one get involved with that? Was this something that you were interested in from the beginning?
Yeah, I grew up being fascinated by ghosts and monsters. I grew up in the north of England, and we have lots of legends there. Yeah. And it was just something that always appealed to me. There was these books that came out when I was a kid in the 70s called they were like the World's Guide to Monsters, World Guide to Ghosts and UFOs by, I think, Osborne Publishing. Mm-hmm. And they were just fascinating. They were really well written, even though they were for younger people, fully illustrated, and they didn't talk down to kids, and they were just fascinating. They had case studies, they had ideas of how to investigate these things. But then there was also a TV show called Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. Yeah. And that was something that was like, wow, he sent film crews around the world interviewing eyewitnesses to, paranormal events, whether it was Sasquatch or Yeti or, people who had seen frogs raining down on their village in Wales or UFOs or, abductions. And it was fascinating as a kid because, you're hearing the people firsthand tell their stories. Yeah. And that's something that's very different and something you don't get just from reading books. But when you see these people and you realize they have nothing to gain from coming up with these stories, really, an old couple in some small mining town in Wales, why would they want the exposure of saying they saw something that they couldn't explain? But they stick to their story. They're not. So that's the kind of thing that really fascinated me as a kid. And of course, popular culture. There was weird TV shows, especially in England, that we even watched in school. There was one called The Boy from Outer Space that frightened everyone. That was like, they used to wheel in the TV to our classroom to watch it every week. And it was this like little blonde boy who landed from outer space, who makes friends with other kids in England. And it was like terrifying, but everyone watched it. Everyone, because in England, there's only like 3 TV channels. So everyone watched the same things, really. Yeah. And it was just all these really weird like TV shows and pop culture that really got me interested in how could I, explore the subject myself. And when I first came to America, I was lucky enough to work on a show called Ancient Mysteries with Leonard Nimoy as a young man. And that led me into another show called Haunted History. And we went to a city for each episode. We did 5 ghost stories. We interviewed the people who had seen these ghosts. We do recreations. This was before Ghost Hunters, before Ghost Adventures. Yeah. And it was just a great mixture of real history, folklore, politics, and just mystery, just all combined. And if you're someone who's interested in telling stories, it's really the best genre to be in.
Absolutely. And I know all of those shows. For one thing, you and I think, are in the same generation. And 2, I've warned you, I know all of the paranormal shows. It's a problem.
That's great.
So now that you've kind of explored, have you done, you have done some Bigfoot shows as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes.
I did consult on a show called Paranormal Declassified. Came out 2019. Yeah, so I did but I know cryptids, and I've done a show about Loch Ness and things like that.
That's awesome. So which is your favorite? Is it UFOs? ETs? Well, because I kind of consider those, even though they're related, they're also 2 separate subjects, as I'm sure you realized. Cryptids, ghosts. Which one fascinates you the most?
I think they're all related.
I do too.
I think they're all ultra-terrestrials, as John Keel used to say, or used to write about. In terms of producing the stories, I definitely think that the UFO shows have the biggest, the most depth to them, because it really gets also into politics, as well as social history, and going back into like ancient history as well, and religion, which is really interesting. I've written a few ancient aliens episodes, some 2-hour specials. So. I love paranormal ghost hunting shows. I've done many of those shows all over the country and in England too, and those are fun. But in terms of like, I think the UFO phenomena is just so interesting because it's always developing. Like every few weeks, there's a new story coming out. There's a new revelation from some government employee or some document coming out that just doesn't happen in the ghost world. We don't have that immediacy when we try to explore, life after death. But as I said, and as we got into with the Demi Lovato show, we tried to see if there was some connection between all these different subjects within the genre, which are often categorized and separated, which I always think is very strange.
Yeah, because I've noticed, so I've been in the UFO community for about 10 years now, and you have kind of your ufologists on one side, and then you have the experiencers, contactees, whatever name they choose to identify with, on the other side. And it's almost kind of like, well, one is the more logical kind of science. We're going to scientifically try to investigate these things. And then the other one is kind of it's almost like a more spiritual, right. I'm sure you've seen this talking with people who have had these encounters. It becomes like a spiritual experience for them. And so I think sometimes it's hard to bridge those two because the ufologists want proof, and the experiencers are like, well, what proof can I give you, other than my word? But it's like you were saying as well, about why would these people come out and tell their stories? Why would they make something like this up? Because not only are they not going to gain anything, but oftentimes they're hurting themselves in the process. Right. It's detrimental for them to come out. So how do you guys get someone to come out on TV? Because I can imagine that's an even bigger platform, and you have to, have to have some guts to come out and tell your story on national television.
Yeah, it's interesting because you know, you sometimes it's hit and miss reaching out to people. And I was lucky enough to be an executive producer on a show called UFO Witness that was on Discovery Plus recently, and we re-examined classic Project Blue Book cases, which was amazing. And Ben Hansen was the host, who I know a lot of people know in the ufology world. And it was an awesome opportunity to go revisit some of these cases, like the Dexter Swamp case, Pascagoula abduction case. And it did take a lot of convincing to get some of these people to go on camera. Now, some of these people have turned it into a little bit of a college industry, and they go to events and conventions and the written books. But some people really haven't. And even if they are doing that, they're not like multimillionaires from these stories, and they often really have nothing to gain. A really good example was when we went to Dexter, Michigan to talk about the swamp gas sighting, or the so-called swamp gas sighting in '66. It was a mass sighting, and there was a man who saw it. I think it was Ron Manna. He was a young man and his father. They're on a farm, and they saw what people described as being swamp gas. They thought they saw a UFO. Well, Ron, who was the younger guy, I believe, he was 18 at the time. He hadn't been on TV. He'd never talked about this case. We really had to convince him to go on camera to talk about this case, because his father, Frank Manna, that's his father's name, it ruined his life. I mean, it ruined his reputation. It ruined his life. And when J. Allen Hynek did this famous news conference saying that it was swamp gas, you know, it really hurt the family. And so we really had to track him down and get him to talk on camera. And it was fascinating because we brought in the Project Blue Book file, and he looked at it and he was looking at parts and go, I never said that. So even when you go back to the original Blue Book cases, there's parts of them where the original eyewitnesses, if you can find them, will say, oh, I didn't say that. I said something different. And so it really gets into these conspiracies of, well, you know, these who is making up the, you know, if someone are covering up something, but also if you're coming out as an eyewitness, you know, if they're not even going to take down your testimony correctly, what, you know, it's hurtful for them, I think, you know. And we spoke to everyone in Dexter. No one ever seen swamp gas.
I don't know anyone.
Old timers, no one had ever seen swamp gas in this town. And this was the story that J. Allen Hynek had been told to say is the story. So it is hard to get people to go on camera and reveal these stories. So it just takes a lot of work and takes a lot of skill. And you have to they have to get some trust in you. And I've worked really hard over 20 years to try and be trustworthy with some of these people and present them in the right light. So I think, you know, it's not that straightforward, especially when there's shows that really want to sensationalize a lot of subjects and push kind of this like paranoia kind of angle. It can be tough for people to come forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. This is an interesting question, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. I'm trying to think if I do. Do you think AI could be a ghost? Have you ever covered anything like that on any of your paranormal shows? I'm trying to think if you have.
No.
I don't think so.
But, you know, wasn't it A.V. Loeb who just did this press conference like at the cathedral in D.C., and he was talking about how if we have the idea of using AI to explore the world, and people in the future must have had the same idea. So it's very possible that AI could be what we're seeing as ghosts. Extraterrestrials could be ghosts. You know, one of the episodes we did with Demi Lovato touched on that subject. You know, we went to a place where they've seen spirits, supposed spirits, ETs, and UFOs, and then, you know, there's not that many of those places. But we're asking these kind of questions. You know, are angels or spirits? Sorry, the ice in my drink just popped, by the way. Cheers. Are they connected? Yeah. And I think those are very, you know, interesting questions. So who knows?
I do too. Okay, so let's get into the Demi Lovato show, because I did watch it, and I recommend all of you guys, if you're able to, go check it out. It was a really interesting show, and one of the things that I was telling you kind of before the show, and I really do believe, is I like the fact that you guys had people on who you don't necessarily always see, and they're telling their story in a very supportive environment. I obviously think of Geraldine as kind of the first person who pops to mind. And I thought it was a great interaction with Demi and her friend Matt, right?
Matthew,
and her sister
Dallas.
They all, even though you could tell they were kind of shocked and, which is understandable. Some of this stuff is hard to believe if you haven't really heard it before.
And that's the first thing we found. And they had no idea who they were talking to.
Oh, really?
So we threw them in the deep end with Geraldine story.
Just going to start right with hybrids, huh?
Right.
See how they handle it.
Yeah.
Wow. So they didn't even know the subject matter?
They knew it was something to do with abductions because Demi had this experience in Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Where they believed that they had been visited by extraterrestrials and had at least some sort of astral projection experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, they talked about that on a podcast with Kesha, a friend of Demi's who's a singer who talks about this subject as well. And when I heard that, I was thinking, it would be really interesting if Demi goes under regressive hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
And let's see what happened.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Demi was up for it. And so they had an idea it was about abductions. And Demi has a very strong opinion about abductions and the phenomena. And another thing, as you was talking about before, it's interesting that people in the UFO world, they separate sightings and abductions. It's almost like they try and separate these different phenomena, whereas I think they're all related somehow. Demi was very clear that it was some sort of conscious contact that they had that was a positive one. It wasn't against their will, because we've all heard in the media that abductions are always this violent, kind of scary experience. Well, we met people who believe they've had scary experiences, but also ones who've had positive experiences as well. So, and Geraldine's, I've worked with Geraldine a few times, and I feel like she's come around to it being a positive experience.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual, but
Well, you know what though? So my background in the UFO community is I have worked with experiencers, and I worked with an organization. I helped develop their support program, and so in the process, kind of got to talk with hundreds of experiencers. And what I found was really interesting. And this was like my foray into the UFO community, and they brought me in because I had a background in psychology, and so I had no idea what to expect. And I had that same kind of, I guess, misconception that a lot of people do, which is that abductions are always very scary for people. And oftentimes I found that they were scared initially, but they kind of somehow grew to understand them, especially if they had more experiences or after talking about their experiences and talking to other experiencers. And so in reality, there's only a very small portion of people who continue to be very afraid of their experiences. And so I think it's great that you have someone like Geraldine on, who has obviously come to terms with it, accepted it, kind of processed what's happened to her, is open to talking about it. And, she's just very straightforward with it. Like, this is what happened to me. These are my children. And, does so in a very, she has this kind of very loving spiritual energy to her. I think she kind of exudes that. And so it's nice to see that presented, as opposed to, like you say, the more sensationalized, kind of terrifying, which does happen. And I don't want to diminish anybody's experience who's had that, but it's not always that way. And so it was nice to see it presented as such. Now, I do have a question for you.
And that was one of the things we wanted to do on the show, because Demi was very interested in showing, the extraterrestrial phenomena as being this potentially positive thing.
Yeah.
That if you reach out with positive intentions and positive vibrations, maybe they're just waiting for that and they're waiting for us to reach out to them in a positive way to, potentially save the planet from, from us destroying it, And that's one of the things that drew me to this project, was after doing so many shows on government cover-ups and the paranoia and War of the Worlds, they're going to blow us all up.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting that, Demi and Good Story Entertainment and Peacock wanted to do something that looked at the UFO phenomena from a different, younger perspective. From a younger perspective, a female perspective, non-binary, gay perspective, just a new kind of taking back the narrative That this wasn't, let's wait for the government to tell us what to do, or they're not telling us, what we should know. It was, let's take this into our own hands, try and meditate and make positive contact. And it is very kind of woo-woo and mystic, but why not? Who knows?
Right.
Maybe that is the angle to study this. And it was different. And it was Demi's point of view. It's not a UFO show per se. It's a Demi Lovato show.
Yeah.
And, when they have 117 million followers on Instagram,
right,
that's a good audience to tap into to make aware of this subject, right? I mean, it's an enormous fan base that they have. And it was just a great opportunity to have them be the spokesperson, because they're a total believer in the subject. But also bringing in their very best friend, Matthew, who's a complete skeptic.
He
to
was
the point
great.
where he's like, I don't even know why I should even care about UFOs. That's where he was coming from. Like, why do I need to know about this? There's so many other things going on in the world. And for him to go through that journey over the series to really questioning what is going on around him, I think was really great.
Yeah, I think so too. He was definitely, even though the show is about Demi, it was the three of them, Demi, Matthew, and her sister Dallas. And you definitely see the progression with Matthew that, obviously, like you said, he was in the beginning, he was just kind of like, I don't know about all of this stuff. But by the end, he was like, I saw something. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is, but it was something. And you can tell that he definitely had this evolution of maybe there's something more than what I understand that there is. And that's good, because I think it's also very reminiscent of what I think we're going through right now, just kind of as a society in general, with the UFO or the UAP, the UAP report coming out, the initial assessment coming out, the government saying, yes, we have these things. We're not sure what they are. And it's kind of getting everybody starting the conversation in a more serious manner, as opposed to just kind of mockingly.
Right.
And so
it's mainstream now.
What's that?
It's mainstream now.
It is, yeah. And so
Absolutely,
you're seeing that progression in society that Matthew had over the course of the show. And I think it was really fascinating.
Yeah, and that's, as I said, that's what really drew me to doing this show for a different audience. And it's as much Demi's journey and Matthew's journey and Dallas's journey, just to kind of delve into this whole thing. And I think that's what, was so interesting. A more fun and spiritual look at the phenomena, I think, was really interesting. And also wanted to kind of, spotlight some different people.
Yes.
And Peacock did as well, who were, knowledgeable in the subject. I shy away from the phrase expert, because
none of us are
who's a real expert, but we don't know. But people who shy away from just try and use people who have real credibility and people who don't get their voices out so much. And even when we used the UFO bros, because I knew they were like Demi's age and they were fun and they could really relate to Demi on that kind of level, and they really wanted to talk about a case from 1953 of a same-sex couple who were abducted. And this is, I think, was like the second UFO case that had ever been revealed to Hunger contactees. The book came out in the 80s after the Barney and Betty Hill story came out.
Okay.
I think it was the second story that came out, even though it predated Barney and Betty Hill. And it was famous in the region. But and one of the things that we didn't get into is that one of the ladies, I think Jan or Sarah, believed that her cancer had been cured from this contact with extraterrestrials. And that's something else that people talk about, is that there's been some sort of health benefits for abductions. So maybe these experiments that are happening aboard ships aren't all nefarious. Maybe they're trying to help certain people. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was a really interesting part of the story that I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, it is something I have heard quite a few times, and sometimes they even realize, or they'll tell the person as it's happening, for those who do remember the experience, that they are healing them, and so some people, it seems, have more of this type of contact than others, and I'm not quite sure why that is, but it's interesting. It's definitely it's definitely something that happens for sure. I've had tons of people report it, so I don't know. I think it's amazing. So why not? It's possible. We can't say it isn't, right?
Right. Look, I'm a skeptic on this whole subject, but when we went to Sedona and we did the mass meditation experiment,
Yeah.
where Demi called out to their social media followers to try and meditate at a certain time on a certain date when we were on top of this mountain in Sedona with this neon pyramid. Everybody saw something in the sky. I mean, the crew, the grumpy grips, the sound guys, you know, everybody saw things moving in the sky that were erratic, that moved back and forth, that went up and down, that changed color, that were not just regular satellites or planes. So I don't know what it is. I'm not a, you know, I don't know. None of us could explain what it was.
Yeah.
But it was definitely the closest to seeing a UFO I've ever come to. And maybe because of the positive intentions that came through that mass meditation session. Because when I did UFO Witness with Ben Hansen, we didn't see anything. We did sky watches and nothing happened. But when we did 3 sky watches with Demi, and every single time something happened, which is amazing.
Yes. Well, okay, let's be honest.
And as a producer, it's like
Ben doesn't have the energy that Demi does.
but it's maybe it's something to do with that vibrational energy. I don't know, because we saw something every time we did it. And as a producer, we had a very limited time to make the show because Demi's very busy, and dedicating a couple of hours to doing a sky watch. You know, what are the chances you're going to see something? We saw something every time we did it in 3 different places, which was incredible.
Wow. Okay, so I have a question for you. When you all saw something, let's just say take Sedona, and you all saw something in the sky, did you all see the same thing, or did some of you see different things?
There were multiple things going on. You could, it was like a 360 panorama at the top of this mountain, and there were multiple different things happening over the period of time, which, you know, we had these monoculars on like tripods trying to capture something, and what we should have done is just handheld them. Because it's, you know, things would not, you know, flying exactly where you needed them. And it's very hard to film the night sky, even with a 4K, very expensive, like Sony Venice camera that they shows like the Crown on. We were shooting it with the best cameras, best lenses, you know, without any lights at all. Well, actually, even with lights, it's not going to matter if in space, unless you're doing some sort of time-lapse photography, just trying to shoot video. You know, when we came back, it was, you know, it was very hard to see everything we saw. And we made the decision to not enhance anything that we saw. There were discussions about, well, maybe we should add some lights just to represent what we saw. And we decided, let's not mess with any of the footage. You know, it is what it is. We saw what we saw. If you can see some of what we can see, but we didn't want to like fake anything in the show at all. And Demi definitely didn't want to do any kind of faked anything at all. And that's, you know, I'm proud of that.
Yeah,
aspect.
Absolutely. So did you see more lights that didn't necessarily appear on film, or did you see?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Wow. All right. So let's talk I was really intrigued by the fact that Demi was willing to do a regression on camera, which was great. And so the show showed a little bit of it. But when they were having it done, was there more that came out that you didn't get a chance to show? Or because it seemed like when they were first telling the story about their experience, it was kind of like, well, I think I was awake, and maybe I was asleep, I'm not quite sure, you know, and I saw these, I think they said they saw these beings, like the very beginning of the show, and then, or the series, excuse me. But then when they were having the regression done, it was almost as if they realized that I was definitely conscious. This was a conscious experience. Or maybe it was an astral experience. So did they ever come to a better understanding of what happened? Or are they still kind of searching for the answer?
I think they're still kind of searching for what happened. What did come out was that the 3 or 4 beings that entered their room were probably kind of these Zeta Reticuli grays.
Yeah.
And Demi calls them like they're light doctors. They're watching over Demi.
I love that.
Protecting Demi from themselves, which was just like big revelation if you know what Demi's gone through in the last 2 years with some very serious you know, health issues and overdosing. Yeah. This was something that was, you know, very brave of them to, I think, to make that kind of statement. Absolutely. I don't think they feel like they physically went anywhere. I think mentally they did have some sort of astral projection where they left, they could see our planet from below, and then they saw this purple pink cloud kind of planet that was supposedly like the Zeta Reticuli kind of like homeland.
Yeah.
And they definitely believe that happened. So it wasn't and I've heard that quite often, that it's not really a physical, manipulation where someone body floats out of the window. Even though I've heard of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it was definitely kind of a mental consciousness connection with these beings that they had, and they've had other connections, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
Since then.
Yeah, it seems like that's the kind of the direction that experiences are going lately. Initially, when I first started out and talking with people, it was a lot of physical experiences, conscious physical experiences, the people that remembered them or remembered bits and pieces of it. But as time's gone on, it seems like people are having more, similar to what Demi was talking about, almost like an astral experience or astral projection type of experience, a consciousness experience. And I'm always curious is it that the experiences are changing, or is it just that our awareness of it is changing? And so now we're more aware and open to the idea of maybe it was, as we would call it, an astral experience as opposed to a physical one, because those do still happen, like you said. I don't know.
And astral experiences have been written about for centuries.
Right.
I did a show about ancient Egypt for Ancient Aliens, and there's this book called Exegog. It was written in like 300 BC by Ezekiel the Tragedian, I think his name was. Well, why I remember that, I don't know. But anyway, it talks about what an experience Moses had on the top of Mount Sinai of this being, this higher being that they call them, placing some sort of crown on Moses's head, and he immediately shot up into space and looked down on planet Earth.
Wow.
And that's something that was written about. So that to me sounds like some sort of astral projection, or even some sort of virtual reality like headset or something.
Yeah.
That it was talking about. So people have written about astral projections for a long, long time. And if extraterrestrials are coming here, or if we're already here, which some people believe, that's another subject we talked about in the series. If they're already here, they've probably been here for thousands of years. And we've been writing about them for thousands of years, maybe just writing about them as something else, whether they're ghosts or gods, So I think I haven't had an astral projection. I wish I had, but.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday.
Maybe someday. Yeah.
So Anonymous Rex has a question. Was there anything awesome that happened that got cut from the show?
There were two things that got cut from the show, unfortunately. Well, first one I say was they met with Dr. Linkatai, who witnessed the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah.
And there was this great scene at a diner. They met with Dr. Linkatai and heard about Lynn's story and Lynn's theories about what's going on in Phoenix and a possible portal in the area. And we just didn't have time to include that in the show. And I felt really bad because I love Lynn and I've worked with Dr. Lynn before. And then you and I were talking earlier a little bit about remote viewing.
Yeah.
Now, if you watch the episode in Sedona, there's a sequence where Demi learns remote viewing. There were two tests that Demi did. The one that's in the show is the second test. Demi also did a first test, which was actually more accurate. And it was so good that no one believed it.
Oh, really?
Yes. And we didn't have time to put both tests in there. And we made the decision, well, we should probably put the test in there that seems a little less believable because no one's going to believe the first one. And the first one was dead on. It was incredible. People were freaking out. And then we're like, okay, we're going to try this one more time because something's not right. Wow. And they did an amazing job the second time, as you see in the show. But the first time was even more dead on. And the network was like, that can't be real. And it's like, it was 100% real. And Demi was very proud of it. And they had only had a few hours to learn this technique.
Yeah.
So I think everyone walked away from that thinking that Demi does maybe have some sort of intuitive kind of like powers, and Dallas thinks that too. And they have Native American ancestry, and their mother has some sort of psychic awareness. But I definitely think Demi has some sort of, I don't know, second sight, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely sensitive in some way.
I think so.
Interesting. So was the first test like the second one that you did on the show? Like they went to a place and...
No. So the first one, the instructor, Dr. Carr, had a series of photographs in an envelope. and he chose one photograph. None of us knew what it was, and he held the photograph. He didn't know what it was either. He had a bunch of them. He just randomly put one in a big manila envelope and put it on the table, and told Demi to kind of like feel and sense and report and do all these kind of techniques and start drawing, and then asked Demi to get up and explain, what do you feel? And so Demi started doing this with their arms, and then started doing like this with their arms, and Demi's like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is weird. I sense kind of like this blue, and so they ended up drawing this kind of like blue at the bottom, and then this red kind of thing here, and this kind of like brown, and this figure. And the picture was someone in a red kayak. So not only did they get the image of the photograph that they drew, they got the motion of the
paddling
that they felt, and people were freaking out. I'm telling you, it was incredible.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So that was an amazing part. I wish we had time to put it in the show, and we just didn't.
Yeah, that is amazing. So let's talk a little bit too about when, let's kind of go back to when they did the mass meditation and they were with, forgive me, Elizabeth April.
Yeah.
And was there more to that? Because I know we only, kind of got to see a snippet, I'm sure, of the experience, but did you all experience something? Did you see something? What was it like to be there with that mass meditation going on?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was longer. There's only so much meditation footage you can put in a primetime network TV show. I'm shocked they put any of it in, because we have 3 episodes with this meditation scenes.
It was prevalent. Yeah.
Well, full credit to the network. They were like, oh, we love this. This is great. And I was like, oh, that's so cool that you're willing to let people like have a moment, contemplate, and have this silence and this inner kind of monologue. And that was great. And so that did go on a little bit longer, and I'd say the time between when that ended and visually seeing something was definitely a little bit longer, but not that much longer. Really not that much longer, because we only had limited time to shoot with the crew, and when you get into these nighttime hours, everyone's starting, looking at their watch, and I'm like, something just happened right now, please. And it did, and it was incredible. So, we saw something in Catalina, and Ben Hansen was there helping us, actually. Ben was working behind the scenes on that.
Ben's in everything lately.
I know he wasn't on the show, but he was helping out behind the scenes, which was great. And then we saw something in Tahunga Canyon with the UFO brothers, and then again in Sedona, we all saw something in the sky, several things, different colored, multiple lights changing colors, things moving back and forth and erratically. That was just, I couldn't explain it.
Yeah, that was fascinating, because it looked like there was like something over here, and then there was something over here, and they were just,
it was very active.
Like you guys were being surrounded by these.
And it's funny because just before we filmed that, and the way, just so people know, the way like Demi likes to work, and this is the ideal way to work when you do these shows, is to do everything in one take. So you get everything prepared, and so when you have everything prepared, all the people and the cameras and all the lights, and then you want to just roll the cameras and let Demi or Ivan and do their thing. I'm not directing Demi. I'm not telling Demi what to say. I mean, obviously we've created scenarios for them, right, as producers, but it's not scripted. I mean, they're doing what they want to do. And Demi said just before they walked over to the pyramid, she goes, I don't think we're going to see anything tonight. And I was like, oh my God, why would you say that? I was like, oh my God, we got this pyramid. We come all the way out here. And then he's like, yeah, I came out last night. I saw some things. I think that they're probably not going to come out again tonight. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, let's just see what happens. You haven't met Elizabeth yet. They have this really interesting process, and let's just see what happens. And, if something happens, it's great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so Demi was totally like, okay, well, let's just see what happens. But then it all happened, and it was probably the most active night that Demi's ever experienced.
Wow. That was amazing. Wow. And she got Gracie. I was very jealous of Gracie.
Right.
Gracie was very cute. So let's also touch on, because I found this one really fascinating, really, really interesting. When you went to the, I can't think of the name of it, the ghost town.
Vulture City in
Yes,
Arizona.
Vulture
Yeah.
City. Thank you. It seemed like you had, I know, it was the guys from, oh my gosh, this is terrible, but I don't remember the show. The
Shall I help you?
Ghost Asylum, was it? Or
So I worked with them on Ghost Asylum and Haunted Towns
yes,
and
Haunted Town.
Exorcism Live and
Yes,
Haunted Live.
I've seen
So
them all.
I've worked with the Tennessee Wraith Chasers a lot.
Yeah.
And so I knew that they would be a great match for Demi and Matthew and Dallas
Mm.
in this particular episode.
Yeah, but they what was interesting too is that Dallas got a lot of activity too when they were separated.
Right.
And Demi really seemed to connect with that one spirit. Can't remember her name.
Right. Carmen.
Was it Mexican Rita or something like
I
that?
think it was Carmen.
Carmen?
Yeah, it was Carmen, Mexican Rita, and another spirit.
Yeah.
If they were human spirits, I don't know. But there was one that responded to the name Carmen that kept coming back and wanted to speak with Demi. But you're right, Dallas had a lot of activity in the other area and was very emotional.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting place. It's a very spiritual place. And we worked really hard to try and find a place that had all aspects of paranormal: grays, UFOs, human spirits, cryptids. I know people talked about skinwalkers, and you know, it was on Navajo land at one point, so there was the potential of some sort of skinwalkers there, but we didn't encounter anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was a great place to go. And again, you know, you just roll the cameras and let Demi do their thing. But I know the Wraith Chasers very well, so I know that they're very good, especially after doing the live show with them.
Yeah.
You know, when you do like 10 live 45-minute paranormal ghost hunts,
they're
very good at, you know, letting the audience know what's going on, what equipment they're using, and just kind of guiding Demi and Matthew and Dallas through the whole process.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky that things happened pretty quickly. And a lot more happened in different areas of the city that we just didn't have time to talk about or to show. But it was fascinating.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And I didn't realize that about Vulture City. I'd heard of it as being haunted, but I didn't realize that it had all of that other activity as well. Now, is Vulture City in Arizona? Is that where it is?
It's near Wickenburg.
Okay. So which is interesting because the West definitely seems to have some sort of weird, funky vibe going on there, because you've got Skinwalker Ranch, you've got Vulture City. New Mexico just seems full of weird places.
Right.
So it's a fascinating area, but I thought it was great. And that was, I guess, something I wasn't really expecting out of the show, and really drew my attention. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating, because they had so much interaction. Like, I know, and I'm sure you know this too, doing these paranormal shows, it can be hours of nothing, but it just seemed like she really, there was,
I mean there was a lot of time where things weren't happening and there wasn't responses, and unfortunately in a show it's only 45 minutes, you have to kind of trim that down. So it does seem like there are more there aren't more reactions than what happened. They just seem they're tied it together, you know. Because that's part of what happens is there's a lot, sometimes there's long silences where nothing is happening, and I love that when I'm watching the show, when you're just looking down that dark hallway wondering if something is going to happen or not. You have to kind of trim that back a little bit, unfortunately, when you have, like, you know, time restraints. But the thing that really interested me in this show was that this was Navajo land, and that there's tradition of giants there. And this is a theme that you hear all over the world. About these giants that in these different cultures and religions, and you go, if you believe in ancient astronaut theory, giants are a big thing. You know, Catalina had a race of giants supposedly on it. This is something that goes back, and it may all be related to extraterrestrials or these fallen angels that people talk about, the Nephilim. You know, if you go back into, you know, the Bible and the Book of Enoch and these great stories, but it's these stories that you hear about, and they're repeated in these cultures all over the world. And this is something that was going on at Vulture City, that there's reports of giants. So to me, it was like, well, that's kind of ancient astronaut, you know, and ancient alien kind of territory, and there's UFOs being sighted. So let's go there and just see what happens. Because when Demi had that near-death experience, when they had that in 2018, they didn't go down this tunnel of light and see angels, but other people do report seeing kind of figures at the end of these tunnels. And we talked about, well, maybe they're not angels, maybe they're extraterrestrials that are waiting for us on the other side. You know, the ancient Egyptians thought that people from the stars were waiting for us because that's where we came from.
Right.
So we wanted to bring all these kind of ideas and concepts together, and it was very ambitious to try and do all these things in such a short period of time. But I was like, let's just go for it. You know, let's just try and make it as interesting as possible.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. So out of the places that you went on that series, what was your favorite? What was the one that you were that really kind of got you as a skeptic going, maybe there's something more going on here?
I don't know, maybe Vulture City, but Sedona was interesting too. I went to Sedona just thinking, this is kind of hippie woo-woo town. And it's really pretty, and you know, you can buy some crystals. And Demi's got a huge collection of crystals, by the way.
That's not surprising.
No, I know. And they take them everywhere they go, and they use them when we do meditations. But I think maybe Sedona, just because I was so surprised at what we saw in the sky that night, which I did not expect at all. And I live in Los Angeles, and it's very hard to see stars here. Yeah. So, you know, when you go somewhere like that, or if you go to Joshua Tree, it's like, oh wow, that's what really is out there all the time. But you know,
amazing.
If we had more time, I think we would have gone to more locations and further afield. But we had to kind of keep it kind of condensed for this season, at least. Yeah,
it was great. Black Dragon has a question: do empathics have more of a chance to experience these paranormal?
Probably. Yeah, I think if you're on some sort of wavelength, some sort of you have some sort of vibrations, that consciousness is you know, is on their level. I mean, if everything is connected in space and time, as Dr. Stephen Greer says, then you know, maybe that is a reason. I've been to so many haunted places. I've had very, very few experiences, unfortunately. Yeah. I wish I had more, but you know, maybe that's maybe so.
Interesting. Did you say you did Haunted Live, right? The Salem one?
No, I did this. There was a series before that where there was 10 one-hour episodes. Every Thursday night we did a different live ghost hunt in Tennessee.
Oh, that's amazing.
With the Tennessee Red Chasers,
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say the one that they did in Salem, they had the Ghost Brothers. And I really wanted to meet the Ghost Brothers because they are hilarious and I love them. And I was in Salem, and I live right outside of Salem. And then as I'm driving home, I see this house that has all these lights in the driveway, and I'm thinking, that's weird. And I get home and I turn it on, realizing that, the show is still on. And I look at it, I'm like, they're right down the street from my house. Oh, wow. And I totally didn't even realize it. I mean, what would I have done anyways? Pulled up like, hey guys, what's up?
Yeah, the very first paranormal show I ever did was in Salem.
Oh, really? Where'd you go?
I spent the nights in the House of the Seven Gables in the attic with a psychic.
Yeah.
Waiting for a little boy to show up. That was weird.
Did it?
And then we filmed at the Joshua Ward House. Joshua Ward House. And we went into the basement and we saw the original brickwork from like the 17th century. We did 5 stories there, and I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. This was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great location.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot in Salem. New Orleans is another great town, I think, that would be good.
I've done a lot of filming in New Orleans too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A tough place to film, but
it's true. There's a lot of noise in New Orleans.
Well, it's also they also have to have a lot of cash to hand out to people, and it's
I could see that.
It's hard to get permission without some backhanders.
Yeah.
All over the town,
So now, out of all of these shows that you've done, is there one place kind of in particular that, whether it be UFO, paranormal, ghosts, is there one location that really stands out to you as maybe your favorite to go to?
To go to, as in like I would like to go back, or just that I've been to? Because there's places I've been to that I wouldn't want to go back to.
Well, you said you've had very few experiences, so maybe where have you had the experiences?
Well, I did have an experience at the Two Rivers Plantation in Tennessee, where it felt like a hand went literally through my hair. Like I was standing below this attic, open attic, and I was talking to another producer. This was before we started filming, and that was really weird and freaky. I mean, it was real, a static kind of feeling his hand going through my hair. And I was standing like this far away from the other producer, and they could see the expression on my face. But the place I think Penhurst Asylum, just outside of Philadelphia.
Yes, I want to go there so badly.
Really shocking. I mean, it's shocking. I mean, the vast scale of the number of buildings. I think it's like 18 or 19 giant 19th century buildings, and you can't get into most of them. But there's like 3 or 4 that we went into on Ghost Asylum, and they all had these underground tunnels which were built to transport patients during the winter because the snow was going to be too deep.
Yeah.
And that place really is really spooky and terrifying. I don't know if I want to spend another week there.
I can imagine.
When you do these shows, you spend like a long time at these places, and another place was South Pittsburgh Hospital in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Before it was renovated, and that was definitely really weird and creepy. It's been cleaned up a lot since then. We went to a lot of places in Ghost Asylum where you needed like respirators and hazmat suits. Yeah, it was really, really disgusting. But Penhurst and the history behind that place is really just horrifying as well.
It is, yeah. There's definitely. So my first job after I graduated was in an old asylum. It was in an old state hospital. It had been converted. They were still using it, but it was more outpatient. And I did psychiatric research, and so we did still have a locked unit. But our offices were all the old patient rooms. The big wooden doors with a little like window. And there's definitely a weird vibe, even though the building was still full of people because we were still using it. There's a very weird vibe to old asylums. It's just got that kind of crazy kinetic energy that makes sense that would be there, especially back when the treatments were much less effective and, torturous almost. And obviously a lot of neglect, but I think also there was a lot of understaffing issues too. So, but yeah, asylums.
Penhurst is really, really something. I'm shocked that it's still standing. In most countries, these places have been demolished, and certainly on the West Coast, because real estate's so expensive and land is so expensive, most of these places have gone. But still in the Midwest, you will find a lot of these old like asylums that are just dilapidated. There was one in Ghost Asylum we went to which literally set on fire just before we started filming there. We had to find a new location. It was in Ohio. Yeah, this place was like very, very unsafe, and we ended up not being able to go. We had to find a new location like a day before we started filming.
Oh my gosh. Have you been to the Ohio Reformatory? That's a great place.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Mansfield, they call it. I filmed in a couple places in Mansfield, actually. What's interesting to me about that place, and that's something we didn't get into in the show, is that the architect was a Mason, and there's a lot of Masonic architecture within the building.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Travel Channel didn't want to talk about that. Anyway, if you look at the building from above, it's in the shape of a double-headed eagle.
Is it?
It is. And there's a certain room you can go into at a certain time of day, and I have the photograph, and light will appear from 4 corners and cross in the middle of the floor.
Interesting.
And that's where they used to put a throne right in where the cross of light would appear, and that's where they would do a lot of Masonic rituals.
Huh.
We have to be in that one room at a certain time of day, and the light shafts are designed to specifically mark this X on the floor. It's very interesting architecturally. Yeah.
So which place was this?
Ohio Reformatory.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't tell us that on the tour.
No, they don't.
I can't imagine. The creepiest place I felt was in that building was the chapel. The chapel gave me the weirdest vibes out of anywhere in that place.
Yeah. I mean, I got to say, though, if you go to some people's private homes, they're creepier than any asylum.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of witch friends. So
I've been in some really creepy homes. I did a show called Texas Size Medium that never aired.
Yeah.
On the Travel Channel, and for various reasons. But we went to some really creepy people's homes that had done a lot of like black magic rituals, and that had just a lot of really bad juju in them.
Yeah, that can happen, especially when they don't know what they're doing with it, and just people play around with it.
Absolutely.
But, oh my gosh. Well, I can't believe our hour is pretty much up already. Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on. You have just
Oh, thank
been a
you.
pleasure to speak with, and it's fascinating. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, Lynn. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I love talking about the subject. So anytime.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Absolutely. I would love to have you back on. Anything good coming up that you can tell us about to keep our eye out for?
Nothing I can tell you about, but some things are cooking.
Come on, a little tidbit, something.
But yeah, the genre is always developing and expanding. That's all I'll say.
Awesome. Okay, well, I would love to see more UFO shows and experiencers. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for that one. But as always, I will watch any paranormal show. So if you make it, I will probably see it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. It's been wonderful talking with you.
You too.
All right. Have a great night. All right, guys. So let's take our break now. And then after the break, I'm going to bring our panel on, some faces that you will probably recognize. So let me just pull this up and we'll take a quick 5-minute break.
Shoes and walk among the groups of two. It's not ideal, it's just how we feel. It's a shame we're easily amused. The only cure for this forward motion is to make emotion fly away. The air is cold, but the water's not frozen. I see ripples rolling every day. Cast a stone and get a hardcore view. Catchphrase of the day is that it's true. There's no coffee talk and only one way to please. It's a shame what you do moves me. The only cure for this forward motion is to make emotion fly away. The air is cold, but the water's not frozen. I see ripples rolling every day. Yeah, not looking for a windswept view. Our change has changed. Nothing's
All right, guys, welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Saturday. I'm your host, Lynn Wallington, and thanks for being with us. Don't forget, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out the archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor while you're here and there and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, hit the like button if you're enjoying this episode. And thank you all for your generous super chats. It's a great way to support SOR. We couldn't do this show without you. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a ton of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot. And don't forget to read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. All right, let me get the panel up. And Big Willie, if you didn't see, come on the show. If you want to come on, Big Willie, let me know. I'll send you the link. All right, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We're having some technical difficulties, but let's bring on the Millers. We have Haley and Mike Miller back. Yay! And
Hey,
we have, you've just heard his music. You know him, you love him, Mr. Dave Hurley. Awesome. And Big Willie, come on. Let's see. Did Willie respond to us?
He said he wanted to come on.
Oh, he did? Okay, good. All right, Willie, I will send you the link right now. Maybe, hold on. Oh,
No.
oh, hopefully Mike and Haley are experiencing technical difficulties, but let me just give Willie the link, and then hopefully we can get Mike and Haley back as well.
Yeah, we got to get somebody else on. This will be a train wreck with just me.
I'm here as well.
Well, I know. But, well, yeah. You're perfect. Nobody wants to listen to me talk.
There they are. They're the disappearing act. It's magic. How are you guys? Can you hear us okay?
It's ghosts.
Yes? Okay. You're a little bit delayed. It's a very slow moving process, but oh my gosh. All right. Well, hopefully they'll keep trying to come back on. I don't know what's going on tonight.
Well, now we've got to get Willie on.
Yeah, he'll come on, I think. Hopefully, let's see. Oh, the Millers are trying to come back. Poor Mike and Haley. So while we're trying to get them on, what did you think, Dave, of Andrew and all of his kind of experiences that he's had? I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. I thought the show was really good. I thought one of the things that caught my ear that he said it towards the end was the Travel Channel. They weren't willing to talk about any of the Freemason stuff or anything like that.
Oh yeah, they didn't want to air the Freemason stuff. I didn't know that when we went to the reformatory. They didn't say anything about that.
No,
Dave and I went, for those of you that don't know.
That's it, and that's the first thing I was like, you know, you always have to wonder with that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I wanted to, for some reason, I didn't think to ask him while he was actually on that when they were doing towards the end of the show when they were sitting with was she psychic medium or whoever she was? They were sitting in that triangular.
Oh, Elizabeth April. No, I think she specializes in contacting extraterrestrials.
Okay. I know he talked about the visual of the show, but it made me also wonder if it was like some sort of antenna or something that they were kind of, using to kind of hone in on that kind of thing. But
oh, you mean the pyramid?
Mm-hmm.
No, I asked him about that before the show, and because I was wondering if I thought that was hers. And remember, I was like, "That is cool. I want a pyramid in my backyard." But no, they actually set that up because they wanted to make it more visually interesting. But I thought that it was interesting that they did that because obviously it's a pyramid shape, which is interesting, and they have the different color lights, and different color lights can supposedly create different vibrations and bring about different feelings. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was really interesting, but you know what we could do, even since hopefully the Millers, I don't know, maybe you can keep an eye out, Dave, to see. Well, let's see if they they're resetting their we are resetting stupid internet. What we can do is we can open up if anybody else wants to join us too. If any of you guys are interested, and you don't have to do video, you can do just audio if you want. Let me put the link up here. And Big Willie, if you are listening, this is for you as well. Okay. So if anybody wants to join us, go for it. We can chat. If you want to tell us a story, go for it. Kira, you're right. The fairies are at work today. I'm telling you, they're very busy. They are nasty little buggers.
Yeah.
And the Millers think it might be ghosts in their internet.
Well, Willie's saying he'll be right here. So.
Okay, cool. Oh. So.
If not, we'll just drink, right?
Right. Sad little secret. It's just water the second half.
Oh,
The zero cool. Yes, they're trying to reset their internet.
okay, cool.
Zero cool. So now what did you think? Because you're kind of I don't know if you would consider yourself maybe skeptical, or because you are very open-minded for sure, and knowing you. But when we went to the Ohio State Reformatory, what did you think of it? Did you think that was there any weird vibe for you? Any bad juju? Or were you just kind of like,
I kind of consider myself an open-minded skeptic. I can see where people definitely get the weird vibes, jujus. You know, the words I tend to use. I'm just not. My mind doesn't go there, and I know there are all kinds of other people who are a lot more open, of course, than I am. And I think when you're more open, you're going to be more receptive to that kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
But when people talk about energy, I know what they talk about for sure. But the first thing my mind and my eyes and things go to are like lighting. And that's how I'm wired, or how I'm minded. Because like I go to, you know, of course, sounds and lighting and all that stuff. And that creates a vibe, of course. We do it all the time. You go to a concert or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's usually what grabs my attention when you walk into a place like that, where the lighting's dim. Obviously, it's the place is run down and everything. That's where the weird feels come from for me. Although I do agree that the chapel was a little weird to walk into.
It was, right? It was creepy.
Yeah.
Damn chapel.
And I wasn't necessarily. I mean, I didn't get creeped out in there, but it was definitely a cool place to be, cool experience.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the Millers back. Millers, Big Willie, the Millers. Well, they were here. It's Mike and Haley. They'll pop back in. How are you, Willie?
I'm good. I just want you to know I ran out of bed. I drop kicked a baby in the face,
Nice.
and I just.
As one should to be on my show.
That's right. It's like, you guys don't even understand. Lynn said I might be able to come on. I threw that baby out a window and chucked it right out there. It's like, we got to learn how to fight and live on your own eventually. So,
Fly, little bird, fly.
that's right. Like, I've raised you
amazing.
for almost 2 years myself. It's time you start earning a living
Absolutely,
out.
right? How much do they expect from you? I
Oh
mean,
no,
come on.
we keep losing the Millers. Dang it.
I know. I don't know what's happening. Poor Mike and Haley. Well, hopefully we'll keep trying. We'll keep trying. So, Willie, what did you think? Like, wasn't Andrew fascinating? I thought he was really fun to talk to.
Yeah, I think he gave a little more insight too. I think one of the downsides sometimes to this community is that we are asked to give opinions, and I don't know why, on people that we can't sit down and have a direct conversation like this with. So
Yeah.
I find that interesting. So anytime we can have somebody who's at least close to the subject themselves, or the person, or the matter that's been worked on, I always try to listen to what they're talking about. So I think he did a great job tonight. I mean, I know some probably aren't completely pleased with it or have their own opinions, like they will with this subject, but overall I thought it went pretty well. I mean, did you feel like that it went pretty well for you, or no?
I think so. Oh, we have a question. Is Dave a musician? He is, in fact. In fact, it was the song you just heard on the break was Dave.
Oh man.
And the song you'll hear at the end of the show is Dave.
A talented musician. We'll add that part in there.
Look at this. Big Willie's voice is like fresh baked caramel custard.
I don't even know what that is, but thank you, I guess. I really don't know how to.
It's your new tagline.
I don't even know how to take compliments, I'm not going to lie, about the voice thing. Like, I was talking to a coworker about that the other day, because how I hear myself, and you and I talked about it a little bit, I don't hear anything. To me, it's like, it'd be like walking up to somebody like, I really like your pinky fingers. Those are like, it'd be like, not that it's creepy. Maybe that's a little creepy to say. Let's admit that. But I appreciate the compliments, but I still don't know how to take them yet. So
That's hilarious.
I appreciate it.
I do the same thing. Dave, it's Dave Scott. Every time Dave Scott's throwing compliments my way, he's like, I know you're going to roll your eyes, but sorry. I don't know how to respond. I'm so weird and awkward outside of, well, I'm weird and awkward on here too, so it's fine.
That's the one thing I was joking with Ben and Joe about doing, is like with the show, I was like, I keep it together for them. But I was like, I even Carlene and I were talking about that. I was like, who I am behind here on the mic is me trying to keep it together. Because me at a conference, if you're to meet me in person, it's not going to be this person. Like, I mean, it's pretty much me, but it's going to be a lot more energy. I promise.
Oh, see, I'm the total opposite. I'll just be
really?
like the weirdo in the corner Googling things.
Fact checking everybody, like walking up with your phone.
Going through my mind. Like, I think I was at one of Dave's gigs and there was this cool party going on around me. And I'm like, I was Googling some type of weapon. I can't remember what it was. That it was just like catching my attention that day. I was just like, oh, hypersonic weapons. I was like, what's a hypersonic weapon? And let me learn all about it.
Yeah. Very interesting. Someone was asking if I'm the dog man guy. I do not have claim to that honor. No, there is a dog man guy though. There is oh my goodness. His name is, I'm blanking on his name right now, but Wayne and Michelle, who were just on last night, have had them on, and so is Dave. Do you know who I'm talking about? He's in Pennsylvania, right?
I'm like, with Dogman, I'm completely cryptids. I've told you, like, cryptids are my kryptonite. I
love cryptid stuff. I
just
just don't know much about it, but I love it.
I don't know about them. It's just never been anything I've, like... I will watch, like, the Bigfoot shows on TV because, again, like I said, all night tonight, I have a problem.
No, Dave, are you in Ohio? Is that where you live? Mm-hmm. Oh, so we're not even that far. Well, depending where you live, we might not be that far apart. So we were, my wife and I lived there for almost 2 years. We were in Maumee, Ohio. So, which is it's Maumee. So what
where is that? I didn't even know.
It's better than being on the east side of Toledo, which is where some of our other family and friends lived. So, I mean, if you have to pick the two places, I would say Maumee might be the better one to go with.
Like, in relation to, like, Ohio, where is it? In relation to, I mean, obviously in relation to Ohio, but you know what I mean. Like,
it is in the Ohio.
It's in it. In relation to it, it is in it.
I thought you were going to let Dave was going to answer. He's from Ohio.
Either one will be fine.
It's by Toledo. Do you know where Toledo, Ohio is at least?
Yeah.
So it's getting pretty close to that.
I lived in Ohio at one point in time, yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Dave and I know each other.
Nice. Very nice. So I do apologize, though. I didn't hear what your panel was about. I just saw the comments, and then I honestly, I was back and forth in chat. I was wrapping up with, love Jim Goodall, love you to death, brother. Well, we were trying to wrap up with him, and I told him, I was like, hey, guys, I actually messed up. I'm supposed to be somewhere, so I didn't mess up anything. Was I supposed to be on here with you?
No. I just wanted you to come on.
That's twice tonight that I've had a heart attack. I was like, did I miss a meeting? And then did I miss something I was supposed to be there?
Evidently, that is my job tonight, is to give you a heart attack. Because now,
succeeded. Good job.
Twice now.
So what's the panel? What are we discussing tonight?
We're just talking about whatever. So Andrew
perfect.
could only be on for an hour, so I was just like, well, let's get the panel on, because we haven't had them on for quite a while. Our square table, Dave does the round table. So I don't know if you're familiar with the square table. Square table is people that don't know much about the subject.
Oh, this is amazing. All right, yeah. I'm good now. Okay, we're good.
I asked Mike and Haley if they were able to plug directly into their Ethernet. I don't know if they're going to try to or not. Hopefully they can, because Mike and Haley are great, and they don't know a ton about the subject, but they're very excited about it. So they're always good to have on. Yeah. So, well, let's talk. You had one of my favorite people on, Carlene, on your show today. What did you think of Carlene? Is she awesome?
She is awesome. I murdered her name like 5 times.
Her last name is hard. Yeah.
I made a note. I had wrote on my notepad over there, right? Because I forget things. And I wrote down, I was like, make sure you ask how to say her last name. Asked her all these other wonderful questions, timeline, how long she'd like to go, made her feel comfortable, all that jazz, and totally blanked until we were getting ready to do it. And I'm like, oh no, there's the moment where I have to introduce this person and I don't even know their name. It was so bad. Other than that, she was great, though. She has so much more we could dive into with the...
She does.
We didn't even get to scrape like any of her experiences that she's actually been through. So that's why I directed Reddit. It's like, go check out the episode that she did with the most recent one she did with you.
I think that's where she talked about her experience.
Yeah. Okay. That was when I told him. Okay. I'm glad I told him the right one. So I was like, if you guys want a little more info on that, go check it out. And then obviously we got our YouTube channel, all that linked up there. But yeah, overall, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm mistaken here, because I didn't get to ask her about this. Did she kind of start this journey a little bit, sounds like a little later in life, somewhat?
As far as getting into the UFO kind of world?
Yeah.
She's just starting.
Well,
now, she's done some regressions where some kind of, I guess it would be ETs were channeled through people where
Okay.
she's talked with them. And she did a regression on Dave, actually. It was fascinating.
Really?
Dave wanted me there, so I was able to like be there for that. It was really
Wow.
interesting. She's the only person that's ever been able to get him to go under hypnosis, which is interesting too. He's never been able to. People have tried before.
He's like,
But-
it's a locked vault in here. You can't touch
Right,
this.
no. She was getting the info out there. And so she's kind of brand new to the whole ET UFO world, but she loves it and she wants to get more involved with it. And honestly, seeing her do her regression, she was amazing, and I would definitely recommend her to anybody who's looking to have one done. But yeah, she's brand new to it, but she's super open to it. She has the right ideas about it. She got some not so accurate advice from some people that she usually kind of goes to about regressions, hypnosis. And
Okay.
basically they were saying, oh, don't do regressions on people who have blocked memories. They might have attachment. These ETs can then come and follow you home. And then she was just kind of like, so she checked in with me, and I was just like, no, that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
Not so
Nah,
much.
they're wrong. They're
That
wrong.
information was no bueno. But yeah, so she had the right instincts about like, that didn't sound right to me. So I'm going to like just check in with you. But
I think I remember only one. I hate when I say I remember. I keep saying this stuff like in all my years of experience. Because I'm so new to all of this myself as well. But I remember one story that NK was telling about where she felt like someone had a demonic possession, and she said she couldn't clarify if it was that or if it perhaps was a. What's the term? Like a reptilian? Because we always get the stories, right? Like the mixture of, they can totally morph into something that they're not. But she said there was only. That's what I see. That's kind of what I was thinking. And that's also what our Keith Andrews, when I interviewed him, he also made that pretty clear. So, but she said that the whole demonic thing is more what she was thinking. And there was only one point in the interview where she said, when she asked the question, where the eyes changed and then it went back and it was like, fine. But it was kind of like she thought it was like a moment of like wink, wink, like I see you, I see what you're trying to do.
yeah. Well,
And that was the only one that she called in somebody else on. She was like, not feeling it.
Well, that's a good call if you don't know how to handle it, for sure. Especially with the reptilians, they are tricky. I love the reptilians, honestly. I have had great experiences with them myself, but they can project a different appearance to you. So I think that's why people think they can shapeshift, because a lot of them are very telepathic, and so they're able to kind of project it. Some of them use, we were just talking about this with Sam last Sunday, and she was talking about the same thing. A lot of them can use like what we would call machinery, I guess, or technology, it's a better word for it, to appear more human for whatever their reasons might be, whether positive or nefarious. You never know. Some grumpy reptiles out there, I'm sure. But yeah, I always forget. I keep forgetting that you're like, oh, are they back? Are the Millers back? Keep your fingers crossed. They're almost in. They're like halfway here.
I picture them like on a Mission Impossible theme song
right
right now.
Everybody, we'll do our
dun,
group meditation like Demi did. Everybody, bring the Millers in.
I'm
Get your
telling
intent
you.
out there. Let it
That's
work.
how I picture it. That's how I picture it. They're like wiring stuff in right now, and he's like, red wire, blue wire. She's like, just cut it. I don't know.
They probably are.
The towel and the sweat on the forehead
Exactly. It's exactly what's happening right
and
now.
light in his mouth.
They're gonna come on, and Haley's hair is gonna just be like.
Raveled up.
That's the one fun thing about my hair being short. Is I can make it do all kinds of weird, crazy
It
things.
looks great.
Yeah.
It's getting long now. I can make it. You should see it when I wake up. It's just like. I'm like a baby chicken. It's terrible. Dave can tell you. See, he's laughing because he knows.
It's
What
great.
was your question though? I feel like I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I felt like you were going to ask a question. I interrupted you. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was saying I keep forgetting that you're still relatively new to the whole
100%.
UFO world.
I don't think
Amazing.
there'll ever be a day, even if I get into this for the next 40, 50 years, I'll still be like, listen, I don't know. Like, here's what we think we know today. I mean, I don't know. I think the only thing I've applied to this realm is what I kind of had to learn being in an apprenticeship was you learn a lot by just watching, which is really hard for me, but just watching and not talking. And so just doing that and getting a broad band of people from opposite sides of the board in the aisle talking, that's always been a goal of mine. I like kind of being a bridge to people who have very differing opposed point of views to help kind of mediate that middle ground for them, because it's sometimes I find that they're very similar in a lot of things. There's only one or two things that they're off on, but man, do they dig in about those things. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
you know, guys, at the end of the day, like, you know, let's just have a cookie, some milk or something, sit down, unless you're lactose intolerant, and then you can have water, whatever your drink of choice is. But yeah, I ultimately no, I don't think I will ever sit down. And I think the most respectful people, you and I talked about it last time, have never sat down and been like, I'm the foremost expert on this subject. Like, no, I'm never.
We'll never listen to them if they say that.
There are a couple. There are. Doing it.
You know what? Actually, that was interesting. Oh, dang. I meant to ask Andrew this question. One of the people, and I'm not going to mention their name, she claimed to be a certified ufologist. And Dave and I were watching this, and I was like, Hurley, and I was like, how does one become certified in ufology? And I said, you know what that means? She took an online course.
Probably.
Because, like, how does one, please, if you guys know, how does one become certified in ufology? Because this was a new one for me. And I was just kind of like,
I thought that the certification for that was who is it? Was oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I know what his name was, but he said that you spin in a mirror, spin around 3 times, someone like bop yourself on the head and then the nose, and then boom, you are a certified ufologist, and
yeah, exactly.
You can just rock and roll from there.
Angels agrees. Yeah, I know. I was just kind of like,
I think to be fair,
you sell a book.
You sell a book. Yeah. I might do it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's all you have to do is sell a book.
I don't. You know what, Jim? She did say who was her like mentor, and I can't remember off the top of my head right now. And I don't know if this person, and it wasn't someone that I really know. So I don't know if they're one of those people that is like, train under me and you will become a certified ufologist, which I don't know.
That's also still funny. Come on.
I know, right? I was just kind of like, say what now? Like,
I think, I don't know. I have mixed feelings, because there are people, first of all, okay guys, there are people out there that I deem worthy of, I guess, however you want to look at it, of giving my money to, things that I support. I believe they're doing great work. And unfortunately, because of some people want to just use the term realm or dimension we exist in, however you want to use it, we have to use monetary value. And because of that, they need more to be able to do the continued work and bring more work in sometimes that we enjoy, or content. So I'm totally fine with that. I don't really think anybody who's trying to earn some money is a bad person. And there's this weird thing every once in a while where somebody can be like, we're all for them, and then all of a sudden they get to a certain level of success, or they write a book, or they have this one interview with a certain person, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're a sellout, there's the shill. And it's like, this person's been working really hard. Maybe be a little excited for them. And that's just my 2 cents. I mean, again, anything I ever express is like, this is just my point of view on things, which is like nothing. So take it with a grain of salt.
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I have no problem with anybody, making a living. And if they're putting and there is a lot of work that goes into like, even doing shows like this, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. And people are putting their time into it. And, often when they're starting out, they're volunteering. I mean, we're volunteering, and so it's a lot of work. There's a lot to it. And so I don't mind people making money off of that. What I don't like is someone saying, I will certify you in ufology if you take my course, because, as we've said, there are no experts in this field. There are people that know or have been in the field longer and have gathered more knowledge, maybe, or more experiences, talked to more people. But none of us is an expert. None of us knows exactly how all of this stuff works. Right. So that's where I kind of was like, no, and that's where I draw the line.
Let me ask you this, Dave, if it's okay to ask you a question. What do you think, like, when people, when you hear different people speaking, have you noticed for yourself when you can tell intuitively for your own perspective when someone's being honest or not, when it is, I'm just trying to sell a book, and it's, hey, maybe this person's kind of really channeling something here? Have you been able to discern that pretty well, you think, on your own?
Yeah, I generally, at least I feel like I can. And sometimes it's a phrase, sometimes it's body language, of course, sometimes it's just how they put things. But yeah, a lot of times you just get a vibe from somebody, and just like any other time in life, you can kind of tell when they're genuine or not, or at least, like I said, it feels that way. So not knowing a whole lot about the subject myself, that's usually what I tend to go on. And everybody has different experiences. All this stuff is so relative that I don't think. Of course, you can have knowledge of the government, what the government may or may not be involved in, stuff like that. But as far as having experiences, it's such a personal thing. Some people have positive ones, some people have very negative ones, and I feel for those people, but the one thing I think that's important is we just keep it all open to conversation, because I think that's really what it's about. We'd all like to have more answers, but I think the only way we're going to arrive at anything like that is if you keep everything on the table, keep the conversations open, and basically consider anybody's experience as valid. And you can explore it that way. Otherwise, if you start shutting things down, how far are you really going to get? That's my thought anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's where I think you learn the most, and that's where I've learned the most, certainly, is talking to people and listening to their stories, and talking to more people and listening to their stories. And the more people you talk to and the more information that you gather, that's where you're really going to learn. It's not from taking a course or reading a book. And while you can gather information and knowledge from those, of course, really talking with the people that are involved in the field and who are experiencing things, that's where you're really going to kind of get all the information. But I will say for Dave, he is very good at reading people. Very good. Much better than me. I'll be like, oh, they seem nice. And he's like, nah, that guy's going to be a not a nice person.
I think you've got a really good grasp at reading people. It's what makes you a good therapist and everything. So, yeah.
Well, I have a good grasp of what they're talking about, but sometimes I give like too much credit. I might be like, well, they might be okay. You're like, nah.
You've got a few people that in the industry that you're skeptical over.
Oh, for sure. I have no problem being skeptical of certain people, but yep.
I think too, have you guys ever thought about this concept? And Ben and I were kind of tossing this around the other day. People have it. Like, I don't go on Twitter. I made a Twitter, but I don't ever go on. I message a few people on Twitter because like they only solely use it. Okay, I know about the Twitter war stuff.
I was terrible too. I'm getting better.
I know.
Like in the past 2 days. So
Jim Chambers, Big Willie's bacon. I love bacon, so yes, I'm okay with that. But what I would say is that, crap, what was I trying to say there? This is what it was. Is that why is it that when something is expressed, right, when something is brought forward, you know how there's people that will believe anything, right? We know about that they're like, anything and everything doesn't matter. They're going to believe it. And it's almost like they have this weird craving to like always believe. But the converse of that true, or the opposite of that would be true, is that there's those that seem to reject every single thing so vehemently that it's almost, I don't think you could present them with anything. They seem to think they have things that they believe, but after a certain bit of time, they start to contradict their own not belief because they don't believe in anything. So it gets weird where it's like it doesn't have anything to do with the subject matter. It's just literally you don't believe in anything. And I don't know if that's something that's been built into us societally, or if it's something that's just developed. And I've found it very intriguing when it comes to, like you were just hitting on, Dave, when somebody shares a story, you'll see the ones that when hearing a story, there's almost always the one instant believer, and there's going to be that one, it's like the balance to everything. But the unbeliever ones almost bother me more than the believers, because like I need evidence to either one. And I suppose they're synonymous with one another, but I don't know. There seems to be a push with the unbelief thing sometimes that I'm glad to see lifting. I don't think I guess what I'm saying is I don't know if that was completely accidental throughout society over the past 75, 80, 100 years or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's not hard. I don't think anyway. It's not hard for a lot of people to kind of be skeptical of, especially these days, man. Like government and things like that. So it's you're always going to get that. You're always going to get the people who believe right away. Then you're always going to get the people who want to question everything, and it's usually the people that are sort of right down the middle where I think the really interesting stuff happens, or at least the interesting conversations. Because like I said, if you're immediately dismissing something, how far are you going to get? If you believe everything that comes down the pike, it's like, so we would all just love to have some answers. And are we ever really going to get it? I don't know. But Lynn and I talk about this all the time, where even if you were televising a live event and aliens came down and landed on the White House lawn, I mean, there'd be people that wouldn't believe that. They'd say CGI,
Yeah.
And it's possible to do these days. You can do that kind of thing, and people fake videos all the time, and so to get that stuff in front of as many eyes as possible, that's what these shows are about. And so not only is it interesting to watch, especially for somebody like me who doesn't, I don't know a whole lot about it, but there's been a bunch of things I've learned, and it gets you thinking, gets your wheels turning, and the more that happens, maybe we'll get closer to finding some kind of answer somewhere.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn, were you going to say something?
No,
there?
I was just going to say that is the hope for sure.
Well, I remember my, and I think I mentioned this last time, was my brother being the kind of thinker that he is, right? If I can't see, feel, smell, and touch it, I know it's real. And that's totally fair. But one of the ideas that I brought to him one time when we were talking is I said, and you just hit on it, Dave, the idea that it almost, when there's a good video, I feel like when there has been, that's been the go-to is, well, that's so easy to fake. And I've often wondered if that was, again, man, this just sound like really conspiratorial, but I wondered if there was an agenda to muddy the water along the way. Because all you have to do is throw in a couple, and once one or two are disproved, somehow it then disproves all of them. It's like the rest just go away. It's like when the Zimbabwe incident happened. You're breaking down how kids drew it in a different color or seen in a slightly different fashion, but you still agree that a craft landed. But somehow they think if they destroyed that part of the argument, the whole thing goes away. And it's weird that it kind of works. That's what bothers me, I guess is what I'm saying, is that we almost take like an update, a society, not everybody, but a majority take an update, and it's like it's just easier for them to go, yeah, let me put that little box that I don't understand over here because I like to know how things work. And I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know, you guys, I mean, Lynn, were you a psychologist for a little while, right?
I was a therapist. I wasn't a psychologist. Which means I don't have my PhD.
Okay, but you've studied the idea of like manipulation of how easily we can be persuaded, I would assume, and stuff, right? Suggestive.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly wasn't my specialty, but yeah, you cover it in school. I mean, and we can be very, the power of suggestion does work. I mean, we know that with advertising. That's why they do targeted advertising and subliminal advertising and all of the above. And some of that does work, but when you have a group of children, so let's take the Zimbabwe incident. When you have a group of children, and I can't remember how many of them there were, but there were quite a few. Was it almost like 40 or something crazy? Who all report seeing the same thing, even though some of the details differed slightly. In essence, they all kind of reported the same thing. These kids had nothing to gain. There was nothing really that would have given them this kind of subliminal, like, thought or idea in their heads, planted this idea, because what would the purpose of that be? And where would it have come from? They were outside playing. I mean, maybe one could argue that, maybe they watched a bunch of, shows about UFOs and ETs and stuff. But then I would argue, but then why were their details all the same? So I think it's, what I'm trying to say is I think it's BS. Yeah.
A little bit. Seems that way, right?
In a very long, roundabout way,
for
I
those
think
that-
that excuse is BS.
For those that might be playing the sus game, it's kind of sus. I will
Is
say.
kind
Take a
of
sip.
sus. Yes. But you know what you reminded me of, though, just talking about, like, things that are on TV
60
and
kids.
disclosure and all of that good stuff. There's a show on Gaia. I don't know if you've ever watched it, and I'm very excited because I'm in the process of getting Jay Widener booked. And if you know who he is. It's very exciting for me. But anyways, there's a show, and he was on that show. He's a producer, but he also did that show with I can't remember who he did it with. But anyway, and I think it was called Hollywood Decoded, and they went through and talked about famous movies and how there was disclosure in some of these movies and what exactly it was. They showed clips from the movies. They did a lot of like Stanley Kubrick's movies, Star Wars, the Matrix movies, like really, really big, popular movies. I can't remember what else there was, but it's fascinating. It's really good. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out. It is on Gaia, so you have to have a subscription, but I think you can watch like one episode for free or something like that. But it's definitely worth it.
That's how they reel you in. They're like, we'll give you one.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just like, I need to see the rest of these. Absolutely. Actually, Gaia is a pretty good place to get some interesting information. They have a lot of, if you're into experiencers, they've got a lot of experiencer related information and shows. And, they've got, I know it's controversial. They've got David Wilcock and Corey Good talking about the secret space program, but we can't say that all that information is false. I'm just going to say, can't say it's all false. It may not have come from them exactly, but
that's what I was going to ask you. That is a prime example. And again, guys, I have no real skin in the game here. I'm just observing from a general, I shouldn't say general. I'm very interested, but a general perspective, I guess, looking in on this. That's when I look at and I go, there's truth here. And the people that are leading the charge on this it doesn't make sense. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
If they really believe fully the things that they believe, they're not presenting that evidence very well. They're not supporting it very well. And that's where I start to have questions of someone's integrity, because I think integrity should always be key with anybody's pursuit of anything. But to your point, I personally think that, you think about like some of and Ben and Joe have hit on this in Texas, especially where they live. The old, almost that terrible movie that was made with Will Smith back then. Was it like Cowboys versus Aliens or something like that?
Oh yeah, I never saw it, but I know what you're talking about.
Maybe it was Cowboys and Aliens. I can't remember, but it was not good. It's not a good movie. But it was this idea that there was kind of these the advanced civilization, right? That's 100 to 150 years, give or take, ahead of us, and everybody says that's completely impossible. But it's kind of like, you wouldn't know. Like, if it's not, you just wouldn't know. And to hear the encounters that they had then, it printed in their newspapers, and it's not like one or two. They're pretty detailed on what was going on. Makes you wonder. There's
the Aurora, Texas incident in 18 something or other. 18 something.
Somewhere in there, right?
Very specific. 18 something. It's within that century.
Yeah.
For certain.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I've never talked to either one of the two gentlemen that present the secret space program, but all I would say is sometimes I think when there is truth to something and all of a sudden there's people leading the charge on it and they're not very good, sometimes that's when I'm like, it feels like it's almost planted to be so bad that it takes the interest off of it because there's really something there. And that's, I guess, all I would say about it. Because at the end of the day, it's like super exciting to dig into because it's kind of hard to prove one or the other. So you could debate about it all day. But I don't know. I don't think we can completely throw that one out the door and say it's not a possibility at all.
Well, I definitely can't throw that. I definitely can.
For sure you can't.
Yes, for sure. But you know what was interesting? So this is what made me think that they had some information, definitely, that they were putting out there. So I had my first 2 regressions done before I ever watched Cosmic Disclosure. And I think I told you, I don't know if I told you this or not. I think I did. Before I ever had my regressions done. And when I was still, and this is when I was still working with experiencers with free, I stayed away from Secret Space Program because that was where I was like, that's where I draw the line. That's just, that's too much for me to believe. Why? I don't know. That makes no sense whatsoever. But like Andrew and I were talking about this before the show. It's like how interesting how some people like Ben Hansen, who we both know, we were like, he was just like, yeah, when we had he was with Geraldine and he was just like, hybrids, it's a bit much. And Andrew was kind of like, you believe in everything, but you draw the line at hybrids. That's where your belief stops. It's too much for you to go. For me, it was the secret space program. Again, makes no sense whatsoever. So I didn't want to know anything about it. Now I understand why, of course. But in one of my regressions, I saw myself being taken on the shuttlecraft, taken to a larger ship out into space, orbiting above the Earth. And after my regressions, I was somewhat smart enough to take some notes and draw some sketches. And I drew a sketch of this shuttlecraft. And after I had these 2 regressions done, that's when I found Cosmic Disclosure. And I was like, well, let me just see. And I was watching it. And you know how I don't know if you've ever watched it, but they had artist renditions of certain things that Corey was talking about. And they would have, he would describe it, but then they would show like an artist rendition so you could see kind of what he was talking about. And I kid you not, the shuttlecraft that he talked about on there that they showed looked exactly like the shuttlecraft that I drew. It's crazy. I showed you, didn't I, Dave? And what makes it even more strange is a couple months ago on the show, we were talking about experimental aircraft and, how maybe some UFOs could be mistaken for, or experimental aircraft could be mistaken for UFOs. And so I was researching these aircraft prior to doing the show. And there's one that they haven't even created yet. They're talking about it. They know what they're going to build. They have plans for it. They have artist renditions of it to be built. I think it was either this year or next year. It's exactly like the shuttlecraft that I had drawn. Very strange. That one freaked me out. I had to send it to Science Bob, and he's like, that is weird.
I love sending stuff that I have. I've sent a couple things to him like, listen, you're smart. Awesome. I know I'm not. What's your opinion on this? Like, I like having that. That's one of the great things about the internet that I know, like it can be a cesspool at times, but we're so connected. You have so many amazing people that are experts in their own field of studies, or more importantly, things that they're just really curious about. So they've just committed to studying this like crazy. And there are a couple people like he'd be one I would say that like if I'm really interested about something I don't know, I will send that to him like, what do you think about this? And I love that about this community as well, is that there are a lot of people that are so gracious even with their time, which we're all barely have any, it seems, most days. So
well, once you get into this community and into this information, you become very passionate about it because it changes your life perspective, really, like, because it opens your mind up to so many other possibilities. And how can you not be just completely enthralled with the idea of that? At least for me personally, obviously. That
was the name of it. Wild West. Thank you. Wild West. That was it. Okay. I knew I had, because I seen them commenting. They're like, no, that wasn't the movie. And I'm like, yeah, they're right. That wasn't. Because there was the newer one with the alien, Cowboys versus Aliens, that had the guy that played, like the modern day 007, I think, was the lead actor.
Oh, was it? Daniel Craig? Is that who it is?
Was he in that?
Daniel Craig?
No, maybe I've opened another can of worms here.
All right, everybody tell us who was in Cowboys versus Aliens.
Exactly.
I remember that title too, though.
Yes. But yes, Wild Wild West is the one I'm talking about. That was
okay, I haven't seen that one either. That one has aliens in
it? No, I don't even think, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even think it had aliens in it.
Okay.
I think I was trying to refer to the Daniel Craig one. I'm not sure why I mentioned Will Smith, because I think in that one, we were talking about an advanced civilization. I think that at the time, it was kind of like a steampunk kind of feel to the movie. And I think that it might have been why I referenced it, but who knows? Here we are. Who knows? We need the Millers to save me. That's what I need.
I know. Poor Millers.
Oh.
I don't know if they've said it. I don't think they've.
No, because you brought them on.
Sorry, I love you guys. Aw, we love you too, the Millers.
They didn't make it. The laser system kicked on. They're locked down.
I know,
Mission
right?
Impossible failed.
They love coming on. They're so cute. I love them.
Yeah, they're awesome. What do you guys think about I like the concept of, so the more conversations we do have about this, and you mentioned the internet, it gets me thinking about technology in general, which can be used for both great things and not so great things. But I wonder, by having like a group think or consciousness, or at least bringing some more attention to all this, which not only do these shows do that, but just like what we're doing now, the internet. wonder if it has an effect on anybody who is trying to monitor us or make contact, or if there's more. It seems to be like your guest mentioned at the beginning. It seems to be becoming more mainstream and more accepted.
Yeah.
Because you had asked them about, how difficult is it to get somebody to come on TV and talk about it. But if we have a consciousness out there that's generally both curious and good, I wonder. Sometimes I think about that. Would they be more willing to make contact, or would we be able to learn more? Because they're probably not a whole lot different than us. You probably catch more flies with honey. You know what I mean? So if you approach it with a curiousness and a good nature, that's the other thing that I think a lot of these conversations do is just put a good vibe out there. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that? I mean,
well, I agree with you and I disagree with you. So I do think that there are going to be, now we're talking about like ETs coming to Earth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do think that there are positive ETs who are coming to Earth, whether it is to learn or to observe or whatever their reasons are. I don't think that, they have, I do believe there are some that don't have nefarious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also think there are some that are going to be much like us and want to conquer new lands.
Right.
And, and so we would be potentially a planet ripe for the picking. So I think we probably have both in reality. I think there's going to be a mixture of both. Just like there are humans, there's a mixture of both. Not so great and great humans. So what do you think, Willie?
Yeah, okay, so I have two thoughts on this. One is the standard, like, all right, I'm gonna make it like this is probably the safe bet, which is what you just said, kind of ish, which is like the balance to everything. So yes, there's probably good and there's bad, right? There's balance in all things, and I think that has to apply across the universe, known universe at least, I guess, and all the rules that we understand in. The other part would be, I guess, a little more outside of the box, but what if we're trying to apply the way we think as a species, a human species, and our problems to something that doesn't even... I've heard that one of the big issues with when they try to communicate telepathically, when they try to verbally communicate versus a telepathic communication, is that our words are very limited, like our vocabulary.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So perhaps the way we're thinking isn't even going to register, I guess. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. But based on some of the stuff like Samantha's talked about, yeah, 100% kind of backs up the thoughts that I had on things. I think it's okay. This sounds really bad, but let's take it to like, we have like state land, and I don't really hunt anymore and stuff. But I have a family they're all hunters. So there's state land, there's private land. Mm-hmm. On private land, you got to get permission, right? Mm-hmm. You have to buy a license no matter what, and there's state land where anybody can go, and then you're always going to have the poachers that are out there anyways, right? Yeah. So if we're looking at it like that, that's what I always wonder about the missing people, the 411 and stuff with the national parks. I always wonder about that. Like, that's a legal hunting area. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that's a.
Oh, you think the humans are hunting other humans? Is that where we're going with this?
That too, but I'm saying maybe there's a legal amount of people that are allowed to be taken in these zones, these legal hunting zones, I guess. Now it's a reach. I get it, guys. It's a reach.
It's not. There are theories that this is what Eisenhower's meeting with the aliens was all about. You know this, right? So for those that don't, I'm sure you all do, but just in case, supposedly Eisenhower met with aliens and they came to an agreement. They would help us out, give us technology, and in exchange, they were allowed to abduct so many people. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there were specifics about the type of people or where they came from, but if you believe that it's true, and Laura Eisenhower, his great granddaughter, certainly believes it's true. And I mean, obviously she wasn't there, but I'm going to assume she kind of has family lore. Then we can't say that that's not a possibility. So,
and like, even look at the rules right now. Again, I'm not saying that all abductions have been good, because they haven't. There's been some very traumatic ones. There's the areas where people just disappear and we just never see them again. But if you look at some of the abduction stories within the United States versus other parts of the world, specifically South America, they're terrifying. Like, there's some really brutal things that have gone down there to the same level of almost like cattle mutilation on whole families. So it's like there's... it could just be the balance to whatever, and I don't do that as like a fear-mongering thing. I just think that it's fair to say this is also a part of this. And I don't know, sometimes I feel that those that have had the really negative experiences, like their stories kind of get like a little bit tucked underneath the rug because that's not pleasant to talk about and bring out and share. It's not exactly the star we want to be holding in the air to tell everybody be excited, because I don't know. I guess that's my 2 cents on it, I guess.
Yeah. Somebody brought up Thor. Josh Casey. I'm typing this out, Josh, but I can just say it too. I heard he met with an alien named Thor from someone. Not saying I believe that. I do believe he could have met with some. I think he's thinking of Valiant Thor.
From Saturn.
Valiant Thor. Do you know Valiant Thor, Dave?
Mm-mm.
So Valiant Thor was supposedly this alien that works with our government, or worked. I don't know. I think he passed away, supposedly, right? But for quite a while, he worked with our government and stayed here and worked with us. And different people say they've met Valiant Thor and talked about him. Guess he was a pretty cool dude. I don't know. Seems good.
Interesting. What kind or species of alien was he?
I don't remember. Do you know, Willie? I think he was a humanoid type.
Yeah, that was the thing, is he looked pretty much, from the little bit I remember about this, he was like he was from Saturn, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I can't remember where.
I believe that was the story, is that like Saturn itself had become something about like the planet itself wasn't livable, that they were living on the rings or something.
Right, yeah.
I can't remember all of the story, but
planet,
I think he was considered to be a humanoid, but I don't think that it was like, he was definitely considered an alien. And he was supposed to be worked with the CIA and stuff, right, for a long time, and other entities within the government.
Well, he was considered an alien, but he looked human. So
Right.
I think he was like a lot of people describe like Pleiadians. They look very human.
We're getting so many different answers from the chat. It's Venus,
From Venus.
Mars.
I think it was from
That's
Venus.
Guardian
Dang it,
Right,
guys.
yeah.
Was it Venus? Okay,
I think it
my
was
bad.
Venus, yeah. Who wants pancakes for dinner? I will always take pancakes for dinner. I, unlike Dave, have no problem with breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, not this Dave. I'll eat breakfast all day long. So
Breakfast is delicious. Where do you
It is
fall on the
great.
breakfast for dinner debate, Willie?
100% will eat breakfast any time of the day.
Thank you.
I don't understand. Someone needs to talk. Dave needs some. Dave, I love you, but you someone hurt you in your life, and I don't understand why breakfast is the outlet that is the rage channeled into that. I don't know.
He got slapped around with a pancake one too many times.
Something happened to that poor man, young Dave Scott, as a 5-year-old. Something happened to him.
Well, so my question is, like, what if you're out late and you haven't eaten like dinner yet, but you're out past like midnight? Is that now breakfast, or is that breakfast, or is it breakfast for dinner?
Oh, you mean like a 2 a.m. kind of breakfast?
Yeah. But he said he doesn't like Denny's and stuff like that or whatever.
I don't know. Do they have Denny? He doesn't even
I
have
don't know.
McDonald's where he lives, so I don't think they have
Doesn't
Denny.
even have a Taco Bell either. That's the
I know,
real
it's like 2
crime
hours
against
away from him.
humanity.
It's crazy.
So sad.
But
That's
you-
so
you
sad.
Send
get-
them these pictures of Taco Bell food.
Well, that would be a good question though, because Taco Bell does serve breakfast now. Does he like that?
Oh, I don't know. He probably doesn't even know they sell breakfast now.
Well, wait.
Yeah, but I don't think you can get it at night though. That would be the difference for him, I think.
Yeah, because he likes breakfast, right? It's just not breakfast
Yeah.
for dinner.
Yeah, he likes breakfast, but except bacon is okay at any time of day.
Bacon's always delicious.
It's still breakfast food, in my opinion. All right, so we've got a question. Team Rock or Team Stump? I'm going to disagree with Dave on this one, too. I am going with Stump. It looked like a tree stump.
Wait, does he think it's a rock? How did
He
I miss
does.
this? I always thought he was on Team Stump with that. How have I? What?
Oh, no, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're... No. I'm sorry. You're right. He thinks it's Team Stump. He thinks it's a stump. I think it's a rock.
You
For
think
one
it's
thing,
a
they
rock.
climbed up it. It'd be a very large stump. I mean, very large stump. They climbed up the damn thing. And around. And over. For quite some time.
I'm out of loop on this one.
It's I can't remember the name of the stupid movie now. Oh my god. What's the name of the movie, Willie?
Are you talking about Sorry, I was typing, and it happens every once in a while where I go to type and nothing happens. I'm like, stop typing, talk. Okay. It's like it just gets stuck that way. Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
Encounters of the Fifth Kind? Is that what you're trying to talk about?
Oh, Close Encounters.
Close
Yeah,
Encounters. Jesus. I just watched that for the first time this past year, ever in my life.
Well, there you go. Jules has a very diplomatic answer. It's a stump that has petrified to rock. It cannot be unless it's a incredibly large stump.
Well, that's the reigning theories, though, right? Like, did you ever look up to go even further, more controversy with it? Have you seen the people that have hypothesized that it is a fungi that's grown that would be on a stump? So if you look up the way it's grown and you watch the way it grows, way fungi, different types of fungi form, some are saying that this stump is would have been even bigger than that this is fossilized fungi. That's another level that I never hear Dave talk about. And I'm like, Dave, we're going to talk about the fungi.
Okay, so fungi can be big. I get that. But I am still going to go with no. No.
Yeah.
You guys can believe it's a stump. You're wrong.
Who doesn't want to believe in giants? Come on. Who doesn't want to believe that there were these giants walking around?
There are giant skeletons.
There's a lot of...
They're red-haired giants. They're your ancestors.
I'm telling you. There was something. Who is it the one time? It might have been another late conversation. I can never remember the conversations with Joe and Ben, if we do them live or we're doing them off the air sometimes. But we were talking about the idea of it was the Titans back in the day, like Titans versus Giants and stuff. We were saying, what if there was an alien species that showed up and there were giants here? And that's what they were like, these guys are too powerful. And that was what the gods waged war with the Titans or the Giants and wiped them out to then kind of make us, as it were, because we're a little easier to, eliminate if needed. We're kind of squishy walking bags of blood, if you think about it. We're pretty fragile, but we're pretty smart to figure out tasks and take care of issues that way. So I don't know. I'll listen to any giant story. Anytime anybody's got a giant story, I am down to listen.
I like Low Pro's comment. There were giants for sure, with big stumps.
It's classy.
It's awesome. I love it so much.
Oh man. Yeah, Filthy brings a good point right there. They got slaughtered in North America. If you look up the
That's true.
oh my gosh, what's it called? The museum that collects everything here in America.
Smithsonian?
Thank you.
Yeah.
They have oh my gosh, so many names of people that I always forget. Dave's had him on the show before even. They're experts on giants and megalithic structures, but they hit on this where
The two brothers?
No, one's from the East Coast and one is from England, and I cannot remember his name right now.
Are you thinking of oh my god, what is his name?
He's even been on Ancient Aliens. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I can't remember his name right now. I don't know why. My brain's not working today. Too many hours of podcasting.
The guy he's a geologist, Scott. Is that who you're thinking of? Oh my gosh, what is it? Scott.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh, we're just.
I'll see if anybody in the chat knows. But anyways, they talked about the fact that the Smithsonian had checked these in and they lost them.
Yeah.
They were lost on a shipping boat and stuff like that. But they kept the receipts. So that's what you're saying is they're like, oh, it's gone. We don't know anymore. But they still have these receipts in their books. Yeah. So
I know.
Why didn't you
Scott
burn
Walter,
that?
I think he's Zark Muckerberg.
Scott Walter.
Scott Walter. Is that who you were thinking of? That's who I'm thinking of.
I don't think that's the one I'm thinking.
Or Josh is talking crazy hair guy. I don't think he's had what's his face? Oh my gosh, can't think of his name either.
Wait, from Ancient Aliens, crazy hair guy? Giorgio Suki? Yeah.
Is that his name? I think so.
Yes.
I don't think he's had him on. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to look up and see.
Did you watch him in the episode Resident Alien? He guest appeared on that the one episode that was Filthy, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Filthy. And yes, please do eat your vegetables. Large fungi.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna send the picture to you. I'll send it to you. This guy did a whole study on it.
I believe you. I do believe you. I mean, I know there's a whole
not if you believe it's a rock.
Interconnected. It's a rock. It's a plateau. It's a plateau, people. It's a mountain with a flat top. It's a plateau. Come on. But that's okay. Oh, goodness. We're out of time, guys. We just BS'd a whole hour. Awesome.
I know,
Thanks,
and everybody hung out. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry I didn't bring more to the table, guys. I'm so sorry.
Today, Block Sheep, she's on my side. On May's side, yes. Thank you, Zero Cool. It's a freaking rock. Thank you.
These guys are only saying this because they're smart, okay? Some of us have to bring balance to the universe, and we're going to represent the other side here.
You can represent the stump side.
There has to be tests they can do on this, right? There's replicatable tests that we can do to figure out. There has to be a way if they want to really answer this.
So we'd probably have to go to the set.
Wait, no.
Or did they climb up something? You know what? If they climbed up something, I bet you.
Wait, we're not talking about the real place in Utah. I thought we were talking about the Devil's
Tower.
Thank you. I thought that's what we were talking about this whole time. Is that not what we were talking about?
Yeah, we were. Is that a real place? I didn't even realize it was a whole.
That's 100% a real place. Have you never seen it?
Well, then it's a plateau.
Oh my God.
Okay, before we end the show, I'm googling it and let's see what the Wikipedia says.
Well, that's factual. We can fact check that.
Tower National Monument, U.S. National Park Service. The government. Let's see.
See, there it is, right there. The conspiracy story.
Parallel tracks. I don't care what is it?
I agree with Brassel half off though. He says if it's a stump, where are the thousands / millions of others? And that's a fair point.
It is a geologic wonder, which means it's rock. Now, one could argue that could be petrified wood, but let's just say it's igneous. No, it is. We know that the tower is formed of a rare igneous rock, and the largest example of columnar jointing in the world.
They're making up words. They're making up words at that point. Those are words we can't say. Columni jointing? What is that?
I don't know. Okay,
that's not a word. The
landscape surrounding is composed of sedimentary rocks. These rocks are for blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Well, people really are fired up about this in the chat, though. I didn't realize people were so committed. I personally don't have a lot of skin in the game either way. Oh, Jesus, here we go. I knew there'd be at least one zero cool flat earth Willie. I'm not a flat earther.
Oh, God, Willie.
I'm open to people talking about stuff, but I love it. I do love that he still pokes me for that one for sure. Ever since I had Dave on.
There we go. Proven. It's a rock.
Sure.
Not petrified wood. It didn't say petrified wood.
It said other words I can't remember because they were so big. And one that you said too.
Yeah,
that is not a word.
Bucksheek knows. She's talking about the same thing. Mesa Plateau, same thing. Yeah, she got it. Yeah. If there were stumps, there would be more. Thank you, Jem. Where are all the other extremely large, giant, fossilized stumps in the earth?
If you look up South America, there are actually
none that big. I refuse to believe it. I refuse. Bresselhoff, I'm a flat earth dabbler. Can one dabble in that? Can one?
They have some great questions. I just want somebody super smart. Like, I want an expert. Science Bob, come on, explain. Come on the show. Explain why we can see so far. That's the only question that they have that keeps me hung up.
It's so big. The earth is big, and you are little.
No, I mean, but there's a mathematical equation.
The earth is not going to be seen by you standing there looking.
Oh, no, I agree. There's a little more to it than that. Like, based on their mathematical equation that NASA gives, they give an exact equation about how the drop and curvature of Earth works. And that's where it gets a little funky with some of the like modern cameras. And they say it's a mirage. That's why we can see around the curve. I just need it explained like I'm 5 because I'm 5. I just need it explained better. That's all.
The Earth is big and you are little.
That works for me, I guess. I 100% agree. Sure. Oh, man.
Yeah. Dave says I'm good with science.
Heck yeah.
Jenny, I have seen petrified wood. So, little tidbit. When I was a kid, we lived in Saudi Arabia. My dad was in the military. And there was a petrified forest in the desert that we could go to and just pick up big chunks of petrified wood and bring it home. So I know it looks like rock, but that still is not a rock. That's where I'm going with. Actually, yes, I've seen petrified rock or petrified stone. Sorry. Oh my God, petrified wood. That's the word I'm looking for. And I could see why you might think it looks like it, but it's not. I don't think so. The geologist in me says no.
Adventure in me says possible. Let's do this. I'm just kidding. Roll for initiative.
Tree. What was that from, Jules? What is Home Tree? Isn't that from like a kids show? Oh, I don't know. It's minerals, unless it's quartz silicate. See, Black Sheik, she's giving us all the sciencey stuff.
She is smart.
Unless it's quartz silicate. Could be.
See?
All right.
Still used to be a tree.
Oh, come on. You're turning on me. You said mesa. That's rock.
I love it so much.
Not petrified wood. Black Sheik.
You know what I enjoy the most is just when people defend their position, no matter that, like, we could be arguing anything, but
right.
when people
in
get
reality,
passionate, I love it. I love it. Yeah, see, she agrees now. It is a tree. Well, now we can end the show. It's settled. It is a tree.
See, thank you. Zero cool. Someone's still on my side. You were doing so well.
Oh, man.
I did not say mesa was a rock. Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it gets weird, like with like the mythology of the Norse gods and stuff, or the Norse, like, talking about the tree that goes up to the 9 realms, and, like, I think in the Bible even talked about one tree that could see all the earth, and a lot of other stuff. So that's where I've seen some of the videos on this where people hold to that being it. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just open and curious to anybody that can make a decent argument that actually is factually backed up. So, but I would say approach it like this. We gotta believe in aliens, guys, so, or UFOs, whatever term whatever the thing is at this point. I don't even know at this point.
You can say aliens. I'm fine with
I know UFO Twitter. If you're upset, I don't even know who you. Yeah, who cares?
I don't think
guess,
the aliens
point.
really care because they don't use our language. So
exactly, it's a human. That's a human problem, right? Isn't it? Like, that's what I keep going back to. I'm like, guys, that's our problem, and we're like trying to take our problem. Be like, hey, this is your guys' problem now too. I'm like,
yeah. Okay.
Anyways.
Well, I like this idea, so it can be a stump if that was true. If it had been chopped down by a giant.
That giant would have to be huge, though, because
right.
that thing is really big.
Well, if we're going to believe this might possibly be a tree.
It's huge. I don't even know the height on it, but it's massive. I mean, it's huge.
There's no way this was a tree. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't know.
Prove me wrong, guys. I'd love it. I'd love it to be like, that's a tree. That's very cool.
I thought the official answer on it was, though what bothered me, science's official answer, not Wikipedia, is that it was like fossilized for the what's the volcano when it dry, like the way that the magma or whatever, the way it dry, like the way that it cools off, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the official term on it. But, like, we've never seen lava do that. Like, watch lava go out. It never forms up ever that I've seen, right? It's almost always smooth.
What I was just very briefly reading is they were saying that the things around, like the rocks around it that they found there's evidence that it might have been a shallow inland sea at one point in time. So that does look like maybe underwater formations. I could see that because there's all kinds of weird formations underwater that go like straight down like that.
So, Black Chick, you agree that the magma answer is science BS? Because that's how
I
felt.
Show me, Black Sheik. I want to see.
Because I felt like just as a natural observer, like if we go and watch lava now, it's like, well, we have videos of that, and I've never seen lava just like stretch
go
out
upward
and
then
cool
stop.
Never.
This is good. We'll stay here.
Someone's like, here we go, Atlantis talk. I mean, come on, though. Atlantis talk is so much fun.
It is. But then, you know what's funny is, like, I'm good with Atlantis, but then we get into like Lemuria and Mu. I don't the MU one that I can never pronounce. 2 letters are very difficult. And for me, that is just like my brain goes into a fog. Like I don't know what to think about Lemuria and Mu. How's it pronounced, people?
I don't know that one. No, I can't help with that at all.
Oh, you don't know Mu? I'm going to go with Mu because it's MU.
You sounds right.
Yeah.
It sounded better than the answer you read on Wikipedia for that thing, the gelatinous blah blah, or it was like something.
That's a different thing. Lemuria and Mu are both like lost civilizations as well as Atlantis.
Oh wait, Filthy says they have Little Caesars. You guys have Little Caesars in Canada?
Oh,
nice.
Huh. They don't have Baja Blast there.
That's so weird.
I know. It's a sin, I think, in some countries.
Don't they have like better, like their Tim Hortons there? It's like everything's better, isn't it? Like way better there.
I guess I've never been to a Tim Hortons. I don't know that we might have them out here.
Oh right, you're on the East Coast. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, aren't they Canadian Tim Hortons?
Oh, are they?
So yeah.
So it's like their Dunkin' Donuts. Well, out here, everything.
Oh, Filthy says
Dunkin' Donuts
Timmy's
on every corner.
is U.S. owned.
Oh,
Is
Are
it?
you sure? What? I didn't know that. I 100% thought it came from Canada.
Tim Hortons is lit. No, I mean, Dave Scott goes there all the time, and he always calls me without fail right before he goes into the drive-thru,
Fake news.
and then says, "Hold on a second," and I get to hear the entire order.
Very
Awesome.
nice.
Awesome. Oh my god, amazing. Okay, well, I could sit here and talk to you guys all night because you both crack me up, but it's late.
I'm glad you at least laughed. Listen, at the end of the day, sometimes I think Joe and Ben got a great idea, and you guys have done great too with taking. We always take this serious, but man, sometimes it's okay to smile and laugh a little bit, because otherwise, it gets a little boring sometimes.
Yeah,
if you
you
don't laugh
have
and
to.
smile ever. It can
You
get
gotta
like a
keep
little
sensitive
repetitive.
about it, because some of the stuff you're talking about, like, and yes, I will admit, I will admit anything is possible. Like, I honestly don't say no to anything because I don't know, and I can't. Like Dave Hurley always says, we can't disprove it. So how can we say that it's not possible? But some of it's funny. Like, I'm sorry, you got to have a sense of humor sometimes.
A little.
Like, grays in like little jumpsuits make me laugh. Like, it's very possible they could be wearing jumpsuits, but the idea of it makes me laugh. I don't know why.
Did you ever hear Ben and Joe's skit about Grace having to use the bathroom if it is a jumpsuit? No? Okay. Or maybe that was off. We might not have been on air when they did that one. Dang it. I was going to check out the episode, but I don't think we were on air when he did that. But it was so freaking funny because he was talking about having diarrhea. And he's like, could you imagine? He's like, I can't even see where they unzip it. Like, what do they do? We don't know. We don't
Well, if
know.
they can go through walls, maybe they can go through their jumpsuits,
Right?
right?
I mean, doesn't R. Keith Andrews say something like some of them only eat like once a year and stuff?
Yeah, so I don't imagine they poop all that often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe maybe there's another dimension or some kind of wormhole, that it just
Just goes
flies
through.
off into,
So there's like a colonic wormhole. Is that what we're saying?
That's the one.
maybe the colons are wormholes. Maybe that's how they travel somehow too. You never know. They just kind of inside out, and
Is it their
God.
own wormhole that they're using, or do they use each other's? So they're like, okay, Dave, bend over. I got to go to Earth.
Is that what all those like the black holes out in space are? Is they're just clogged up sewer systems that have like been
what it
abandoned
is.
and they've moved on to new?
we got to figure it out.
God, Men in Black are showing up for sure now.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they're called Men in Black. They deal
Yeah.
with dark matter. It's all making sense now. We're onto this.
Right? C0 code. These are the topics we should be discussing. Absolutely.
100%.
Beastie Boys. Yes. Yes, Lunar Sparkle.
Oh my gosh, Black Chick always makes me laugh so much.
Oh my god.
They didn't call it
I
wormhole,
love that Black Sheep, but I
wormhole for
can't put that
nothing.
on there.
I know we can't put that one on there. But good on you for bringing that one up. Good job. That was classy.
Low Pro. It's a great one, too.
Oh, man. Do you know, honestly, though, do you think they ever, like, this is something I know Samantha's hit on a little bit, too, like, with music and stuff. But it's like, do you think that any part of Earth like, is there any species out there that actually, like, likes to just chill with Earth stuff? Like, would we find any of their stuff interesting? Like, if we came across their stuff and it was, like, literally nothing you've ever seen, so you can't imagine it, I guess, because we've never seen it. And we'd be like, I just really like this, like, rod that's just silver and 4 foot tall. And, like, I don't know what they carry with them at all times,
Right.
but I don't know. I've often
So
thought
you,
about
like,
this.
wonder, do we have any things that they think are like, oh my god?
Yeah, because, like, my kids love the movie Home, right? Have you guys watched this? Like, 2016 or whatever when that cartoon came out?
Looks like I've seen that.
Oh.
No, okay.
seen that
It's a kid's cartoon. I have little
Yeah.
kids, so like, Home. They go from planet to planet, taking him over. They're the Boog, and they take over planets, and they're running from the Gorg, and they think the Gorg are out to hunt them. Long story short, he's listening to music with the girl at one point, and he turns on his music, and it's literally just like static. It's terrible. It doesn't, like, to us, it's like awful. And he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is a big hit back home." And she like
Big
turned,
hit.
yeah, he's like, "This is like a big hit," and it's awful. And she turns on some music, and like he can't control himself because of his vibration, so he starts like dancing. He doesn't know what's happening. He freaks out and he like jumps in the water to cool himself off because he doesn't know what's going on. So yeah. Willie knows way too much about this. It is sus, and I will take a drink to that.
Absolutely. Oh my god, that's an interesting thought. Though I never thought about it. Like, would they know what everything we have is, and would they find something like maybe they'd find like a toilet brush and be like, "This is amazing."
In the movie, he was brushing his teeth with the toilet water in the movie. Oh, man. I will say there are a lot of cartoons out for kids now and shows that help really introduce the idea to them. So I think like how I kind of grew up with always knowing Area 51 was real. I think that generation, kids say 10 or 12 and under, 100% are just, it's the idea of like other species existing is not going to be this weird thing. Other dimensions existing, it's just going to be common talk. So I don't know. Some interesting times
they're
ahead.
teenagers and they think that way.
Yep.
Kind of like, yeah, it's crazy to think that there isn't other life out there in the universe.
Yeah, Black Dragon, I would chill out with the aliens as long as they were like cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you show up in my room or something in like the middle of the night and you're just like staring at me or something. That'd be kind of weird, right?
Yeah,
like
it's a little weird.
A little like, hey, you could have called. You could have like, hey, what's up? Gonna be in your solar system later if you want to like come by and come experience zero gravity with us, I guess. I don't know. If you notice that with most of the abduction stories, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody has gravity. Why is that? But our astronauts never have gravity. You ever notice that?
Oh, you mean like on their spaceships?
Yeah, I've never had anybody like, man, I was in the ship and I couldn't control myself. I was just floating everywhere. Like, I've never heard that story. Somebody has to have that story.
They've created artificial gravity. They've learned how to create artificial gravity.
Then how would they even like walk on Earth? Wouldn't it just crush them? They wouldn't be, I don't know.
In theory,
this brings up questions.
There's a lot of questions.
More technology.
Agreed, right? Their laws of physics just don't. We just haven't discovered the other laws of physics because we always say that. I always love when people say they're defying our laws of physics. I'm like, yeah, because we haven't figured it out yet. Like it's not like I don't think they're doing anything. Yeah, gravity is.
Never changes.
I agree, Black Chick. Yeah, or is Chic or Chick? I don't even. Black. Oh, it's Black Chick. Oh my gosh, you know how long I've been calling her like Black Chic? I thought she was like some sort of Vogue model name or something. Like it's Black Chic. I was like, oh, it's definitely Black Chick,
right? Or Black Chick? I think it's Black Chic. Tell us how to pronounce it.
How's that going to work? She's just going to write it and we're going to read it again.
Yeah, well, she can write.
Oh, she can phonetic. Yeah. Dang it. I always forget that's an option. That's what somebody did with Carlene's name earlier. And they still got it wrong too. So I didn't feel so bad. Oh my gosh. It is Black Chic. Oh, that's not her answer though.
No, that's not her.
Sweet Jesus, my name is Martha. Oh, I'm so sorry, Martha. I didn't know.
I knew that, but on here she's Black Chic.
And it's got to be a wormhole.
Oh my god!
I feel like our wormhole idea. I mean,
okay.
Can you imagine? Like, hey, while you're there, can you pick me up a Baja Blast while you're,
Especially after Taco Bell. Jeez, they experienced that. And that's why they don't come back to Earth anymore. They're like, screw that planet.
God, they went to a Taco Bell.
Oh my god!
Taco Bell.
Really quick. Oh, dang it. It just went away. Oh, red eyes. Okay, you ever heard this one too much with the aliens sometimes? Oh my gosh, well, who cares? Grays or whatever, and saying that they see red eyes. Have you heard this occasion?
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay. Interesting story. And whatever, I know it's controversial, but if you want to hear the story, I guess you can go check it out. Chris Bledsoe Sr., when he had his first regression, he hit specifically on these red-eyed children, or the red eyes. And what he said it was, when he was on the ship, they put these protective suits on their younger ones, and that their eyes, they're in a suit. That's why their eyes are glowing until they're strong enough to be able to handle themselves. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, but if nothing else, I was like, that's at least curious, because we would get that with the Greys. Remember, there were different stories like, oh, some are shorter, some are taller, which is weird. I don't know why.
Oh, curious. Oh, sorry. She has photos of red eyes. Interesting.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, this is. I agree. Does anybody know how or why the ETs move by sliding? Maybe that's how they. I don't know. That's how they counteract the gravity. But I have heard that. I've heard that they've walked, and I heard that they slide. So maybe it just depends on the type. And there's multiple types of Greys. So feed from my loosh. Oh, Steven, you were here last Sunday. Yes, loosh. Talking about the loosh. The Greys just watched. Yep.
Oh man.
Oh my god. I have a new debate though. Are you team chic or team chick?
Oh my god. Well, considering I had been reading it Black Chic for a long time, it's not even Block Chic. I don't think I get to give an opinion. I think I screwed myself out of this one. But I mean, I think the sound of Black Chick or Black Chic. I think I get why. I think I know why she named herself Black Chick, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's two folds in the meeting.
She agrees. Pick wisely.
Yeah.
I'm team chic because I always say chic.
Chic is just it. Yeah, it gives it that pop. Chick is like but chic.
It
Chick
dresses it up.
Black Chick.
Dresses it up.
Zero cool. Come on. Don't
Block
ruin
Chick.
the
Okay,
fun.
that's how I pronounced it initially.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I think that we live in an amazing existence, and I sometimes almost go crazy trying to not talk about it with other people who are just like, whatever. And we're all at different places, but they're like talking about stuff that's really boring sometimes. They'll be like, so, did you guys check out this new grill I got? It matches the interior windows. I'm like, guys, what about like the fact that time maybe is not linear? We're just like spending, like all this other stuff. I was like, there's so many other cool things we've been chatting about. I think sometimes I don't know.
Right.
Like
You come here, you talk about wormholes.
Exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. We just figured out wormholes. There's a bigger problem there. It needs to be looked at. The irrigation system in the solar system is a problem right now, and it might be overflowing for all we know. That's when it's supernova. When they've had Taco Bell, they go back home.
All of the noxious gases they talk about in space.
That's why Taco Bell takes all the good items off the menu. Because the aliens can't handle it.
Absolutely.
Dang it.
Oh, Steven, Samantha comes back the first Sunday of every month, so she'll be here beginning of next month. What is wrong? Nothing's wrong with Martha. Martha's a lovely name.
Yeah, who was hating on the name Martha?
I don't know. Was somebody? Knock it off. Be nice.
Wait, was Martha the name? No, that's Marge, right? Isn't it with Family Guy? Isn't his wife's name Marge?
Simpsons is Marge.
Simpsons is Marge.
Marge, that's a... Wow, apparently I
Lois
can't
is
remember
Family
anything.
Guy. Right?
That
I can't remember.
correct,
Really
even though I
scary.
said the wrong thing.
Isn't that where they have the weird football headed baby that speaks
Yeah. Stewie, yeah.
My kids used to always do this, where Stewie would do the mum.
Oh, yes.
Mum.
Me,
Lois,
yeah.
Lois. My kids would do that when they were, early teenagers.
I
An
love it.
annoying amount of time to me.
Mhm.
They were great at it.
What? Well, I don't even know what that means. What race lives on Kepler 22b? I mean,
Is that a star? Kepler 22b? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we all, yes. Obsessed.
What?
There we go.
The ocean swigger.
What is it?
Are you saying? I think they meant smell, but it says sell. Okay, first of all, who's out here selling your farts? Because that's a real problem. We need to figure out what industry is being funded by that.
Those are the people
That sounds like some Ben and Joe stuff. I mean, they do have the TTSA, the To the Farts Academy. So
There you go. Yes.
I
It's
mean,
new merch for Ben and Joe.
oh my gosh, is this why they don't visit us? Is this why they don't visit us as a whole species yet? Am I
I
bringing
think
down
they
the
do
numbers?
watch us. I think that we're like a reality television show for them, and
Yeah, well, I'd like to think they'd laugh every now and then too. I mean,
what's that, babe?
I
Sorry.
said I'd like to think they laugh at us every now and then,
Yeah.
like in a good way.
Well, wasn't it Sam that said the Grays have a good sense of humor? 'Cause I think
Yeah,
she
yeah.
said that last Sunday. So it's funny.
But didn't she say it was like different ones did and like
Yeah,
some didn't?
yeah. Because again, yes, there are different species. Everybody
And they're
always
probably
kind
like
of
clicky,
lump them
like the
together.
one who gets the humor. They're like, I don't like him. Like from the People of Earth, where he doesn't laugh at anything. He's the one that doesn't get humor.
I
That's
love
what's
that
going
show
on.
so much. Oh, I'm gonna have to find that because Dave Hurley hasn't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh.
Which one is it?
People of Earth. It's so good.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's so good.
Why won't I go to the shore? Wait a minute. I think Black Chick actually had one minute ago that said I was supposed to read something and I didn't.
Oh, really?
What was it? She wrote some.
Block sus.
Well-
Well, Willie can't read the word sus cheek
Such chick.
or sus cheek.
I feel like she's trying to make us. Is this one of those words where you say it and you don't get it, and then you listen back later and you're like, oh, dang it.
I know, right? What are your thoughts on Pyramid on Antarctica?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, Antarctica in it of itself is interesting.
I'm not going to give any
Politically,
opinions because
and-
I will already be late. I already got somebody asking me. I haven't gone to the ocean yet or the shore. Listen, because I live in Michigan. I got a lot of shores up here. Come on now.
True.
We have shores all over the place.
True. All right, guys. Well, it's late, and Dave's going to be like, well, I noticed you went longer than 2 hours.
I know, I'm in trouble. We're going to get a message. A matter of fact, I think there's like 3 messages opened up over there right now. It's all from Team SOR. We're in trouble.
Probably. That's all right.
Oh, Dave. Go
We'll go to
easy
the
on us.
principal's office together, Willie. It's okay.
I know, right? Oh, that meeting's tomorrow, isn't it? Dang it. We had to do it
got
the night.
moved to next week.
Yeah, but I think some of us are still meeting, I think, or something. I got to check.
Oh, yeah. I think you guys, the weekend crew, are.
Dang
that's
it.
right.
See, I'm going to get in trouble all by myself now.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll have fun with that. You can blame it on me. It's totally
Sus.
fine.
Agreed.
Like, I was on Lynn's show. She's responsible. Totally fine. I will take responsibility for it.
I tried
Yeah.
to stop talking around 2 because I thought you were going to end it. Then it was 2:05, and I was like, maybe she's not ending it. I think his rule was we only had to end at the top of the hour. Top or bottom. I believe that was his 2 rules. They had to end at the bottom or top of an hour. I thought is what he
He's
said.
never told me either, so I'm going to...
Oh, he was
And
just making
whenever I
stuff
want.
up to me then. He was probably making it sound like all legit. He's like, here's the deal, Will. This is what I need.
I'm
have to end it-
special. I have my
You
own...
have to end
rule.
at 2:18 every day. Exactly. It's like in that show Lost back in the day where they entered the number in the computer and they just did it because they didn't know.
For synchronicity, should we end like at 2:22 or something
Sorry.
like that?
Oh,
Or,
I was to say, why did he say that?
Oh, I'm so proud of you for thinking of that, though. I've been a good influence.
Oh, Dave, you didn't believe in synchronicities too much, or like I think that's just people being a little much, a little bit of a reach.
well, yeah. I mean, I didn't understand it for the longest. I had asked Lynn because I would see people post things on Facebook like 11:11,
11. Yeah.
and I just completely blew past it because I didn't even compute with me. But it makes more sense now.
That's it, because I don't even know that I gave you a great answer for it. So
No, yeah, but in my mind, it's like I said, I tend to be. It's probably, at least in my mind, more coincidence. But hey, again, if you keep looking at the clock at that, and it keeps coming up for you, and more power to you. I never.
collective subconscious awareness at this point.
Yeah.
People are just so tuned into it now because people are talking about it that
But like I said, I'm also the guy that would. I mean, if there was an alien standing behind my refrigerator door, I'd open the door and like bonk him in the head and not even notice. So.
You know what I feel really sad about now is I just realized I missed the opportunity. Dave, you're a very accomplished musician and songwriter, and I didn't even get to ask you about your approach to music and the chords at which it operates versus what it used to operate in. So we were talking about how there's sacred frequencies, like sacred geometry, even within music, and then we got away from all that, like a couple roughly 150-ish years ago. And that's I don't know if you've ever looked into that or not, but that's a really cool topic because they purposely tuned all the items out of these essentially kind of like sacred frequencies that music used to hit at.
Yeah.
Which is funny that current like heavy metal even goes back and deals with like the classic orchestral kind of, or big orchestra musics and their compositions. I find music very intriguing usually.
Oh, it is. I mean, music's a metaphor for the entire universe. That's the way I always put it, because it's you're dealing with waves for one, but sound waves obviously, but like, it's harmony, the way things work together, relativity where, there's not really a wrong note. It just some notes sound better in certain instances than others. Yeah, the 432, that's one of the things where it's like normally if you're tuned into concert pitch now, it's like 440, but 432 is supposed to be not only more pleasing, but just it's supposed to align everything, like almost all your chakras or something like that. And I've tuned down there before and played songs like right at that frequency. Tune your A string, for example, to 432 and go from there. It has an interesting. I like it. I mean, it has an interesting effect in the room. But so does tuning down a half step. If you're depending on the room dimensions you're playing in, it can set off different room nodes and cause different resonances within the room because your instrument's tuned differently, and depending on the size PA and how much power you're using or whatever, it's gonna resonate the room differently, and that has a whole energetic impact not only on you but your audience, and you can talk for a million years on it. But yeah, so but I haven't played out at 432 yet. I keep meaning to just try it once, but I haven't done it.
It's kind of like how the music sounds better. You look at the old structures, like the way that they were tuned to hit a certain sound within those buildings. And I don't know, even the way that we've got away now, everything's gone so digital with the way we're playing it. We're not feeling like when you sit down and you play piano that has actual chords in it, right? And you feel that vibration in you versus the idea of playing a keyboard. I've always wondered, and yes, they're very nice keyboards, they're very portable and stuff, but there's something about playing a piano that just, it's in you. You can feel it. And I don't know, I just feel like, again, there's that weird push where we're moving away from a lot of corded instruments in a sense. I mean, give or take, it's been moved over a little bit, digitized, I guess would be a better term for it.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, there's a lot of advantages these days to having the technology, and I love it. I don't fault it. It's just a matter of how you want to use it, and like anything else, you can get crazy and out of hand with it, or you can use it to your advantage. But yeah, it's the classic kind of debate. It's the same thing guitar players always talk about when having a live tube amp on stage with you. That's something that actually moves your pant legs and moves air and gives you the good feels that you like, or using in-ear monitors and using something direct into the PA system that doesn't move any air at all, unless the sound man pushes up your fader. Right. And there's all kinds of advantages to it, to either or, and you'll find just like anything else, just like the alien piece of it or whatever, you'll find kind of sort of both camps. On one hand, you have a ton of control. On the other hand, you have a ton of stage volume, and that has a certain energy and impact as well. But yeah, you can't really simulate the organicness of having an instrument in the room with you. And there's all kinds of things you can do to try to simulate it, and a lot of them help. But there's nothing like having an acoustic guitar in the room with you, or a guitar amp, or anything like that, or like a real cello or something like that. Recording, miking it up in stereo and trying to record it that way. And it's cool, but it's all fun. But even if you're doing it digitally, like if you're using Pro Tools, for example, and you're miking something up in stereo, you're still capturing an organic source.
It's true.
And nowadays, of course, they're trying to simulate like 2-inch tape saturation with Pro Tools and all that. So you can even apply those plugins digitally to make it sound like it used to, like if you were recording something back in the 60s or 70s or something on 2-inch reel-to-reel tape, So there's but that's the kind of technology that maybe aliens might dig. I mean, if they could in their vast knowledge, what I mean, if they knew what we were trying to do with that, there's still an honesty behind trying to make something as organic as you can be, even if you're trying to do it with digital means. It's, in my opinion, it's all cool. It's all good,
I agree.
Sorry, I talked too much.
No, listen, if anything, I was say I feel bad. I was just going to come into like cover, and I rambled away about stuff tonight. Jeez. So I'm very glad you got to talk about something finally. The cymatics that Julie brought up, that's what's amazing. And I'm sure everybody's seen that, where the vibrations, right? The frequency on a table of sand or even water. But then think about like, that must be going on inside of us too, right? Like how much, so that idea, what you're talking about, that feeling you're trying to accomplish, that has to be part of it. That has to be that same thing you couldn't get out of the digitized sound. It would need to be something that's hitting that more organic frequency, I guess, for a lack of a better term, or lack of my vocabulary on it. That's how I would see it, I guess.
And it's all focused energy. It can unite people. It's the universal language. You always hear that kind of thing, and Obviously, we use a different scale over here in the West, but still, especially the way we create music over here. Again, it's all about harmony. It's all about getting things to work together in a certain situation. Like I said, and once you really start looking into music that way, it really does. Like I said, it's a big metaphor for the universe. The wrong note at the wrong time can sound pretty destructive, but it's also the right note somewhere else. And if you use it the right way as a passing tone or something like that, you can actually use the wrong note, create some tension, resolve it on the right note, and it's all good, it's
Mariah Carey is God. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Sorry. I just seen that note and I was like, whoa, how dare you, first of all.
Yeah, we're mostly water. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I've seen those where they'll
that one.
I was just going to say, that reminds me of like chaos theory, almost like with jazz, because jazz is kind of the organic version of it is kind of that. You're hearing notes and you're like, what is it? What key are they playing? What is going on here?
Yeah.
And it still works. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't that called dissonant harmony?
Yeah. Jazz can be very dissonant and it can be atonal.
I get it right. A musical term.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I saw a meme today where they were like, the top part of the meme was jazz is just as much about the notes you aren't playing, and the bottom part of the meme, does that mean you're playing jazz right now? And, yeah,
true.
Yeah, it's true. Knowing what notes to stay away from.
Oh my God. Jim Chambers, top 10% of my ufology class. You know what you can do? If you go over to, I don't know if you're familiar with the UFO Garage podcast, but they actually have degrees, which is spelled DUHH. GREES, so it's a degree, and you can get your official, I believe, ufology license. Or maybe they haven't done that one yet. They said it was too controversial to do it, but I think they said if people want to start giving them $50, they'll do it. So we'll see what happens, guys. But yeah, top 10%, very nice. Very proud of you.
Right? It's impressive. And his ufology certification class. Awesome.
Sadly, there were only 2 people in the class, but that is
him and that woman that was on the show.
That's right.
She was in the top 2%.
She was the first place one.
She made the 2%. Show. Jim just barely missed it.
Highest of honors, right there. Could you imagine going to actually work? Well, if you're a researcher for MUFON or something or whatever, could you imagine presenting yourself that way to somebody who's had experience? I just want you to know, top 10% of ufology right here, sitting in front of you. Feel honored. Sit down. I just feel like it'd be such a weird approach to even say the words that I may. What was it?
Certified ufologist?
Yeah.
Right, with a straight face, too.
I mean, you could try. And I suppose. Did. Oh, wow.
I was like, fascinating.
Black chick. Yeah, I think you can get your credits, actually, because I believe the certification was the whole spinning around in a mirror and then tapping your head and touching your nose and being like, ta-da!
Right. Well, truly, we were experts, so clearly
100%.
We have the capability. You can get the spaced out ufology certification emailed to you.
Ufologist. Okay, pop quiz time then. Oh, no. Here we go. I love it. I love this community, honestly. It's so awesome that everybody comes in here and hangs out every night with each other.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. I got to get some sleep.
Agreed.
Thank you so much.
I know, we're all on the East Coast. What's wrong with us?
I know.
This is usually happening because of the people over on the other side.
I know.
They had all the time in the world. They're like, hey, let's go to 4 in the morning. I'm like, it's 7 a.m. here, guys.
I know, right? And there's like, bing, 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 bing on the phone all night in the chats. Not you guys. The Space Out Radio chat.
Sometimes it's that.
It is,
Sometimes
right?
it'd be like that.
Do you wake up to like 54 missed messages or something ridiculous?
I think there was one time it was a little bit. It was like 34, somewhere in there. Yeah, it's always a good time though.
You probably stayed later than I do. By like 9, if I don't have the show by 9, I'm like shoved under my pillow. I'm out.
Nice. Oh, Jenny, thank you. I'm so glad. No, I read that wrong. Never mind. Jenny, still, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for everything you do.
Jenny's awesome. They're all awesome. We have a great audience. So much fun. And what's amazing to me, like truly amazing, that was not me. That was
Best part of the night right there, Lulu. Right where you don't want it.
I kid you not. She's right here. Literally. She's with me.
Jeez, you can tell she's completely asleep too. It's great.
The moment, the fact that the universe led up to that moment to take place.
There it is, right there.
So I'll take the parts down. Willie's lost it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That needs to be our first TikTok video.
It was amazing. Josh said he just dropped his phone laughing. Oh my gosh.
That was alien intervention right there.
That was.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
100% disclosure, yep.
Oh, I'm so I can always pitch correct. No, that stays in forever. Are you kidding? That's awesome. Oh my god, there's nothing funnier than a fart. And it wasn't a fart, but it sounded like a fart. Oh my god. We all need new certifications. Yes. We are all certified in methane at this point.
Exactly.
Swamp gas. Lulu is the swamp gas.
Josh is the official certified swamp gas investigator.
Right.
Oh my god. Okay.
Was
guys.
I? I don't know if I was talking about laughter, but I will always take laughter. I try to approach it. People probably think I'm like really stiff neck or something when they see me with Joe and Ben because they're hilarious.
Oh my
but
god.
generally, when I'm off the mic, I'm like a 5-year-old making jokes, or 15-year-old at best, making jokes about everything. My wife hates me for it, probably. But I think it's what brought her in. It wasn't my good looks, I'll tell you that. Humor lasts.
That's not
looks fade.
No. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, on that note, literally, there's nothing more we can say. Lulu said it all.
Green. Black Chick, it's not think, we know at this point. We know I cannot read your names. It's not even a think. I've proven it multiple times, including with my guest that I had tonight. I can't read you.
It's okay. It happens. It happens sometimes. And it happens for me most nights, frankly. Somebody said on one of the shows, like, I think there was like 4 of us or something, and I was on the upper left, and somebody's like, that chick on the upper left needs to get glasses. Probably because I do this. I was like, I get it. I'm old. Thanks.
Man, listen, guys, there's a lot going on. You don't even know. I have 14 screens open back here right now.
Was that a D or a C note? We're going to say that was an F.
Oh, the Lulu note?
Yeah.
No, I can't replicate it. I was like, I don't know.
Ghost farts
She's got that,
and
like,
life.
little, she's part pug, so she's got the little, like, pug nose, you know?
Poor thing.
No, she's a turd. Don't feel bad for her at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the aliens living among us for sure. For sure. Their little brains, their little like pictures and the x-rays.
Note,
I feel so bad. It's so bad.
Or the brown note.
Oh man. Those poor things. Even the Men in Black show knew it. They made it. Wasn't he the alien? He was the dog. He was running the Men in Black thing.
That's right. The pug. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm delirious at this point. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you guys are great. Thank you, audience. You guys are it wasn't a fart. It was an alien. Thank you, Josh. It was an alien. We'll go with that. And it really wasn't a fart. I'm just saying.
Oh man.
It truly was not. Oh my god. Okay. Well.
It was amazing.
It'll be a mystery. You'll never know.
Someone needs to make a GIF though, for sure. If there's anyone with the technology, make a GIF of Lynn's face when she realized, when she like looked down to see. That's what got me honestly the most, because I had no idea what had happened. And you said the word surprise right before it happened.
Oh my god.
That's great
I
stuff.
can watch my own stupid face.
I like
All right.
it was this, and you hold her up, and she's like,
Yeah, it's not very convincing, Lynn. Swear to God, it was the dog, you guys.
She's right here. Oh my god.
Man, oh man.
Oh my god.
Just like it wasn't a stump. Ooh, solid callback burn there. That's
Right? Oh, come on now. Enjoyed that. Thank you, Angels. Angels brings a little bit of class to the show.
good. Oh man. How is
Oh
there
my
still
God.
41 people watching us right
That's
now?
what
I
I
would have
was gonna
thought there
say
was going to be
before.
like 5 people. There's
Thank
41. And
That's what I was about to say when Lulu interrupted me, is that I was amazed that this many people are still sitting here for us just... Lynn walks around with a dog all the time to make her cover her farts. You got me. That's what I do.
no, that could be a real story because that's why like all those rich chicks, right, in Hollywood
Well, I
at
was
all
going to say,
times
she's very portable. She's only like 8 pounds. You can shove her in a bag. I've done it before.
could always be like, sorry, it's just my dog.
It's like, oh,
Sorry.
sorry. She got into something. Oh, so
Oh
embarrassing.
man. Jeff lost like 10 people after that fart.
It wasn't a fart.
She tried for the Lion King Simba moment with her sleeping dog. That's right. Oh my god. That's awesome. I love it.
God.
That's all I'm gonna see now. If someone could make that a meme alone, just you holding up your limp dog, just not even conscious.
So if you wake up tomorrow, check for a little wormhole, a tiny
That's
little
right.
wormhole.
Oh my gosh.
Always blame the dog. Yep. Well, oh my god. Yeah, I know, right? Oh my gosh. Okay, ending it. We're gonna have to go to the next top of the hour if I don't end it.
That's right.
According to Dave Logic.
You know, he's gonna be like, "Did you really end it on 249? You had to do that. You know, it's an odd or even number for me. What if Dave Logic is only zeros? So if you do 250, it's a 0. Maybe that's
well,
the
I still have to do the like talk us all out and everything and play the music. So if we do it now, it'll probably be about
perfect. This is also the man who hates breakfast for dinner, so the logic is unclear.
Right. Strange motives. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on and just BSing with me, which is my favorite way to end the night, frankly. So awesome. Thank you, audience, for thinking that I farted. It's wonderful.
I think if you just hadn't looked down immediately, you would have been okay.
She's literally sitting right there laying.
We didn't know that. You look just as surprised as we were. That's oh my gosh. It's not even probably that funny. It's probably not. I'm just tired. I got like 4 hours of sleep last night.
Zero cool good times. Check Twitter for the fart remix tomorrow. Please let there be a fart remix.
That would be amazing.
Steven. Loosh on toes, yes.
My gosh.
Oh my god, there's so many fart references. It's hilarious.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. I'm calling it.
Call it. Put a fork in this one.
Oh my god.
Swamp Gas remix.
That's amazing. Great. Guys, you gotta stop. Just throw him up on Twitter. I gotta go. I'll see him in the morning. You can message me. It's great. I love it. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, guys. Good night. Thanks, Willie, for joining us.
Good night.
Thanks for the impromptu join. It's great. Oh, good. We have Big Willie's fart remix to look forward to. Fantastic.
For sure. I'll make sure Ellen Hynek's in there, like giving an important speech in the middle of it and everything. Yes. It'll be perfect.
The swamp gas declaration.
Just be your dog coming up every time. It's not that funny. I don't know why I keep laughing at it. Oh my god!
Hilarious, because she's ridiculous looking. Like, let's be honest, she looks ridiculous. So it's okay.
Wasn't her best side.
At her face all the time.
Probably wasn't her best side. Held up with that.
What she always looks like. Dave could tell, unless she's smiling with like two teeth hanging out.
Even then, they still look kind of sus. You look at them and like, that dog's sus. I don't know.
Yeah.
That dog's.
Well, Caitlin named him.
Yes. That's our next episode, Flatulent Earth.
Oh my god.
All right. That's a good one to end it on. All right. Thank you guys. I keep saying that, so I'm just kicking you off. Good night.
For reals. Goodbye.
Oh my god, you guys, you're killing me. All right. Let's just do this. We had Mr. Ron Bubblefoot Doll rocking us into the night with Women Rule the World, and we've got Mr. Dave Hurley rocking us out with Ripple Effect. So come on, my little demon, and dance it up for the gods of guitar. And while you're at it, let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on flatulent Earth or whatever? You know what? That's where you can put them off. Put your comments down there. Because you know why? It helps our algorithm, and we will have fun in the process. A special thanks to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, I gotta go fast with your cabin, wherever you may be. Thanks to everyone participating in our chat rooms on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio and S1 Media Ventures Limited. Thanks for sharing the evening with me. And even though the broomstick may have landed, remember, there's always a seat for you on the next flight. Good night. Until next mischief, my friends.
Forward motion.